my ex-wife, she reported me. It felt, I felt like she stabbed me. I was like
physically.
I was
physically manifested this whole.
I was like, she never would have done it. Like, what the? No, I know this person, and it felt like such a betrayal. I became so depressed.
Okay. How depressed?
Like I just spiraled. And that was when my suicidal ideation started to manifest.
Okay, well, it's the first time you're talking suicide, man.
Yeah.
Like what? Like legit.
Like legit.
Like gun in hand. No, like I'm about to do this, or
like my kids. I'm all alone. My kids aren't here. I got nobody to love me. You know, the woman that I'm trying to talk to, she's in Japan.
You're blowing through all these superficial,
just bullshit relationships, right? And she and the woman that I've known my entire life, that we have 4 kids together, in the back, so just did this. Like nobody cares about me. My kids aren't here, and it just, these thoughts started to spiral and get worse and worse and worse, and it went from that to you know. They like, no one would care if I wasn't even here. To how could I like do this without the cleanest, most efficient way possible? To like Googling ways that I could commit suicide, and like how many pills I have to take, of what kind of pill, and like if they could pump my stomach, and like what would happen. I started Googling this stuff, and it was just like a constant spiral where one thought led to the next, and it was a very easy transition to get worse and worse and worse. Wow. And it was like gravity. It's like just falling into it. And that was the first time I started to feel that way. And it was, it was self-inflicted. But at the time, I felt so betrayed and hurt and alone. What's up?
Bam. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Yun Win. And as you know, my friends call me the prolific ninja, or just ninja, because my listeners are my friends. You can call me ninja too. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the alpha to the omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, success, entrepreneurship, inspiration, and offering morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. Back in Houston at the Bohemian Studios, excited to be here, and we have got a great show for you with a very, very special guest. Before we get into that, let me just give you a little bit of background about this gentleman. He is an 11-year Army veteran, saw combat in 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a 2-time Bronze Medal Award recipient. Now he is the owner and president of Delta Financial, an insurance company based out of Dallas that in 6 short months is already at 8 figures in gross revenue. This man is, I'm proud to have him on here. Distinguished guest because, in fact, this is the first live guest that we've ever had that flew into town just to be on this show. And it is my honor and privilege to be here with none other than Captain Greg Birch. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having you here. It's an honor, man, and thank you so much for your service to this country, man. Having been a refugee family from Vietnam, immigrating to this great land of opportunity, I cannot express how much gratitude we have for U.S. citizens and military personnel just like you, man. So thank you so much for your service. But dude, you know, flying in, first live guest from out of town, super stoked to have you here, bro. And I will just say, when I was pulling up to the airport to pick you up, I'm like, yo, that dude is Captain America. Like, fucking literally. Like, if this dude stood up, 6'7", 255 pounds of pure raw USA made muscle, bro. Like, literally Captain America, man. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you, bro.
Hey, Jan Ninja, I appreciate it. I'm just honored that you invited me to come out. You know, we had a really great conversation on the phone about, you know, connecting with each other in the podcast. And you're like, hey, man, I like to do this in person. You want to fly out? And I was like,
let's do this. Let's make it happen, bro.
I do want to fly out.
Man, I love it, dude. I'm so happy you did, bro. And you know, I'm just super excited for what my audience is gonna get to hear from you, because when you sent me more information in your bio about your story and your life story and where you are now and where you want to go with your business and yourself, man, it was just such an inspiration. And we're going to get into that because I think it's a story that is super relatable in terms of the lessons learned. You know, not exactly what happened, although that does apply with a lot of people. Just the lessons learned, and it's such an authentic story about just success, bro. And we'll get into that. But man, so happy to have you. So just to give the audience an idea about who you are, where you came from, and how we got here, man. Just kind of talk about where you grew up, where you're born, your youth, and you know, your family, your parents, and all that stuff. Yeah,
definitely. So I am. I come from a military family. Both my parents served in Vietnam War.
Oh wow,
that's how they met.
Thank you.
So my mom did it to get her GI Bill.
Okay.
To go to school. They met in the Vietnam War. They got married shortly after, and so my dad retired when I was about 5 or 6.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest of 6 kids. I grew up in a military town. I grew up in Clarksville, Tennessee, and you know, I've got 3 brothers. 2 of them went in the service. 1 already retired. 1's still in, and then 2 sisters. They both married military members, and so I went in the military. Just a massive military family. You know, growing up, I had a good childhood.
Yeah.
My parents were super strict.
I was about to say, like, I'm sure they were disciplinarian or kind of how, you know,
You know.
So when kids got out of line, when the boys got out of line, what happened? You know.
Oh man, we got smacked the heck. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, you do whatever you want, man. Just be yourself, bro.
Okay,
yeah.
So I was actually talking to my girlfriend about this the other day because we were talking about something that happened, and I was like, you know, I was raised much different because like when I was a kid, even when I was young, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, if I started crying and my mom felt I didn't have a reason, she would be like, "You want to keep fucking crying? I'm gonna give you a reason to fucking cry."
Right.
And like that was it. It was like if it was like, dude, if you keep messing around, you're gonna get the shit smacked out of you. And that was just how we grew up.
Yes.
And it was just you didn't cry if there wasn't a reason. Now if I legitimately hurt myself and I cried, then my mom would like care for me. But if it was just like I was just whining or something like that, nah, man.
It's kind of toughing you up, man.
She was not having it.
Yeah,
so.
It's kind of, you know, I mean, it's so coincidental because we just had this conversation in my house about kind of what's missing in today's upbringing. And I'm not making a political statement or a public statement or anything, but I grew up in that environment too, where I was the youngest of 4 boys. And my parents, you know, having just moved to the United States, were working 2-3 jobs each. So it was kind of, you boys look after yourself, but here's the deal. If one of you fucks up, all y'all getting the spoon. Yep. And it just kind of kept us in line. Like there were direct consequences for not acceptable behavior.
Absolutely.
As growing up. So that, you know, that kind of shares the same kind of upbringing that we both had.
Yes.
Which, you know, ultimately forms who we are in terms of accountability, right? So I kind of think that's missing. What do you think, man?
No, I agree 100%. I heard there's a quote. It's like challenging times creates strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create challenging times. Yeah. And the cycle continues. And that's what it is. It's just like, you know, when we were raised, our parents were harder on us because they had challenging times themselves, and they created these harder people. So we had easier times because of it, right? Like it was like the times were easier, but our parents were kind of hard on us.
Yes.
And then let's try to change that pendulum to the other way. Like, oh, we're gonna be easier on
our kids. Participation trophies. Yeah.
And what it's done is it's created a weaker generation, which we're now seeing.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, man. Completely. So you grew up in this very strict, youngest of 6.
Yep.
A lot of horseplay, rough play, races to the table. Who gets to eat most and first? That kind of deal.
Yeah. Who got to eat first? Really, because we grew up poor. We grew up really poor when I was young. And my mom, I mean, they did what they could for us. You know, it wasn't, you know, they worked hard, and it was just very difficult in the salary that my mom had, and at the time with all the kids, they were all under one roof. But as they grew up and as they moved out of the house, it got easier and easier. And then my mom started making more money and more money. And so,
what did your parents do outside of the military?
So my mom went to school for psychology. She's a psychologist.
Okay, wow.
And so she did many MMPIs on me and personality tests. She's do IQ tests on us all the time. So I'm pretty well versed in.
So when the results came from the IQ test, she's like, why are you so? Yeah, he's like, why are you so stupid, man? Right? Like, no, I'm messing, man. Yeah.
So no, she she taught me a lot. I have a lot of respect for my mom because she's just a very disciplined and hard woman, and very intelligent, very quick-witted.
Okay.
But she taught me the power of hard work and discipline. You know? When I was a kid growing up, I would get home from school about 3 o'clock every day. My dad worked a second shift. He worked at Frigidaire.
At where? I'm sorry.
Frigidaire.
Frigidaire. Okay.
Yeah, he was like a plant manager.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what he did. I have no idea.
Yeah, I was about to say. Obviously, he was on the line,
Who knows?
Yeah, okay, got it.
He could have been like restocking the fridge.
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. Okay, got it.
So he worked like a third shift or something like that. So he
was not around a lot.
Never around.
When y'all were home.
He would leave for work at like 2.
Okay.
And I was getting home at like 2:33.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't get back home until like 2:30 a.m.
Wow.
And so my mom used to go home about 5. So I would come home, and my dad was like, would destroy the house getting ready, and I would clean the entire house. I made my parents' bed. I did their laundry.
How old were you?
By the time I was doing this, like we were all doing it collectively as kids, pretty much our entire life. By the time that I was doing it by myself, I was every year I was in high school.
Wow.
So
like real full-time responsibility.
Responsibility, yeah.
Okay.
And if I didn't do it, my mom just smacked the shit out of me.
Yeah. It's a responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Was it more? Were doing those things for your parents more out of respect for them, or was it actually a designated?
Oh no, it was designated.
Okay, so you when I get home, this place better be.
Yes.
I left it.
House cleaned. Dinner cooked.
Yeah.
Right. I cooked dinner, and then my mom would get home. And my homework done. My mom would come home and eat dinner together. I would clean the kitchen from cooking dinner.
Yeah.
And then putting everything away. And then I would go to her bedroom, and she'd tell me what she wanted to wear the next day.
Yeah.
And I would go to her bedroom, and I'd find those clothes. I'd bring them out, and she'd be like, "Yep, that's it." And then I'd iron it for her right there in front of her.
Bro.
And she'd be like, "Yep, that looks good."
No wonder all the ladies like you, man. You already knew this shit coming out of high school, bro.
Yeah. Which my friends make fun of me. They're like, "Dude, your mom's like a slave driver," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I know how to take care of myself, and I know how to cook."
Well, self-sufficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Self-sufficiency is a huge element. I think I have a 15-year-old son, a huge element that's missing kind of in this generation of just being self-sufficient. And that goes back to what we're talking about. Man, that's okay. So you're essentially taking care of mom and both parents while they're out earning a living for you guys.
Yeah.
And so from there, were you active in sports growing up?
So because my mom worked and she couldn't take me back and forth, I did wrestling one semester, and I was okay. I wasn't great.
You weren't 6'7", 250 at the time.
Well, no, I was like just hitting my growth spurt, so I was like 6'3" at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like 130.
Holy cow, man.
So it was
that's like this microphone stand.
Dude,
almost.
I was like a baby giraffe.
Dang, bro. Yeah.
And so I did it for a season, and then I did track, and I did track for 2 years. But all 4 years of high school, I did JROTC.
Okay.
Which is like
for our audience, can you explain that?
JROTC is the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. It's a college class where you basically pretend like you're in the military. It's all this discipline stuff.
Okay.
And you wear your uniform.
This is in college, not high school.
This is in high school.
In high school. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know they had that.
It's not the same as ROTC in college, which is just the Reserve Officer Training Corps. That actually is sponsored by the services in order to train you to become an officer in the military. Like if you go through it, you sign paperwork saying I'm going to commission and become a second lieutenant in whatever service. JROTC is kind of modeled after it, but there's no requirement. You just do it to be a better person. And the goal and the purpose of it is to create better citizens.
Got it.
That's it.
Got it. So was this a voluntary thing for you, or did your parents say, no, you gotta?
Nope.
Okay. Well, what inspired you to, what's?
Ever since when I was a kid, I used to talk to my dad from about 6 or 7 on and talk to him about his military service, and he'd tell me stories about his deployment to Vietnam. He talked about all the time. He went to Saudi Arabia, spent a lot of time there, all the different places he'd been, the jobs he'd done, and the experiences he had. And he he always talked about, and he talked about this experience he had with a captain, that it was one of his commanders, and he would always talk. The way he talked about it was like with such reverence.
Yeah.
That he was an officer and he had all this power, but he's this great dude, and he like really took care of my dad, and it stuck with me at such a young age so hard. Like I just had this vision of being a captain. Like I wanted to be a captain, I wanted to be an officer. So like I thought, well, JROTC is like, it's going to teach me how to be an officer, right? So I'm going to go into JROTC. And so it was just like the path I wanted to go, right?
Wow.
I don't know about you, but I'm a firm believer in the power and the law of attraction.
Yeah. No, I absolutely believe it. Yeah. Absolutely believe it. What you put out to the universe is what you're going to get back.
Yeah. And like active visualization, stuff like that. And I didn't realize it until like kind of thinking back, but I used to, when I was like 8 years old, my mom had this old record player, and she has this huge trunk from Germany in her house. And in the center of it, she had a record player, and then she had these massive speakers that sat on top. And I would play the record for Queen, "We Are the Champion." I would play it on repeat. I would just keep repeating it over and over again, and I would literally pace around the living room listening to this when I was at home by myself, and I would have this vision of me being a captain, and I like could see it clearly in my mind of me being captain, getting an award, being with soldiers, like leading soldiers from the front, and it was just like the crispest vision. I used to think about it all the time. And I became a captain, and I got many awards. I won these awards, and I was able to have those experiences. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I started reading more on the metaphysical plane and the law of attraction and all of that I realized like I literally attracted that into my life.
Yeah, you manifested it into life.
Yeah.
And I think for our audiences, you know, a lot of this podcast is about success and entrepreneurship and being motivated and, you know, becoming your best self. Mm-hmm. That a lot of that is overseen these days because people are just too distracted on technology, just on gossip, what the Kardashians are doing, Kanye, what he's doing, to really sit there and envision themselves in their best life or their dream state. Mm-hmm. And so that whole, not to get into but that whole metaphysical, quantum physical existence, I think really exists.
Oh no, I 100% agree.
You know, and you're only how old at this time?
I was like
8 years old.
Just because I was just hearing my dad, I was like, I'm gonna be a captain, just like because my dad had such reverence, and I was like, that's what I want to be.
Yes.
Because my dad looks up to that person, and I look up to my dad, and I want my dad to look up to me. So
yeah.
I'm gonna be this captain.
Yeah. But not only that thought process, but you're seeing it in your imagination, your mind's eye.
Yeah.
Right. You're like,
I had like a whole vision of me walking up onto a stage and like being at a podium and there's somebody like awarding me something, and I'm like getting an award in front of all these soldiers.
Man, that's crazy. I'm getting chills, bro, because like I'll be frank with you, I had similar experiences growing up. Yeah. Because, you know, same situation. My parents were off working all the time. Yeah. I'm the youngest of three boys, but my three older brothers, there's a 5-year gap, so they're off doing whatever the hell they're doing, and I'm just alone at home by myself. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I'd put music on and literally act out things I saw in my mind to become or do or whatever, you know, a certain type of house, certain type of car. Back then I was, you know, I played guitar. So like this, you know, being on a stage, and these things came to fruition, you know, at a certain level, not like super pro, but at a certain level in my life, just because I don't know what it is. Would you say it's the law of attraction in terms of the energy, whatever people believe in, spirituality, faith, the universe, God, whatever? Is it you giving off that energy where it gets it back in return? Or is it you've seen it in your mind's eye, so it's implanted in your subconscious?
I think it's
so you know, so you're making these unconscious decisions leading you to that pathway.
I think it's more of that. So there's a book called Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. It's a small book, but it basically talks about the connection between the conscious and the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind are those active thoughts where you can have those dreams, and you can also solidify those dreams with your feelings. And then what happens is it kind of gets locked into your subconscius. Your subconscious, through the power of the subconscious, it kind of forces and guides your actions to make that come to fruition. It's really the feeling of having it because your brain can't determine time. Right. So like, for instance, if you were to hear a song, or if you were to smell a perfume from an ex-girlfriend, or you heard a song that you had with your ex-girlfriend that reminded you of that person, right? You would have those feelings, and it would feel raw, like it just happened.
You transported in time.
Like you transported in time, and your brain doesn't know that it's been a year, 6 months, 2 years since you broke up with that person. Especially if you've locked that away and you haven't processed those feelings. Yeah. Right. So it doesn't matter how much time's gone on, but it feels like it's real. It feels like it's now. Yeah. Right. And
your body will react like that.
Your body reacts. Yeah. And so if you think about consciously, if you're thinking about these actions, what happens, and then you attach feeling to it, like the feeling, the pride, the success, the joy of like looking or being awarded, or maybe the abundance of money in your account, whatever it is, then that kind of locks into your subconscious like it's real. It doesn't know that it's in the future.
It's in the future.
Know the past has no idea. Yeah. So I think what that does is it tunes into your RAS. And so so
RAS being
your reticular activating system.
RAS. Yep.
So your reticular activating system, we all have it. It's your RAS, and basically it's a piece of your brain that filters information for you. Yeah. So it filters what's important and what's not important, and anything that's not important gets rid of. So for those of you that have never heard of it, a simple example of this is like, hey, anytime you've bought a brand new car, and the first time you bought that brand new car, all of a sudden you see that car everywhere, especially the same make, model, and color. And it's not that everyone else bought it at the same time. It's just that now that car is super important to you. And so your brain is scanning. It's
noticing those
notices
things.
it even quicker.
Yeah.
So because that's your car. So it's like, oh, dude, that's my car. So another example can be like, as a parent, I've got 4 kids. So I was a very deep sleeper, but this first day that I got my oldest daughter home, a movement.
You picked it up.
I was up. Yeah. Like you just know, right? Because your brain is hyper aware that is now important, and you have to be up in case something happens. So, and that's just your RAS at work. It happens on a subconscious level. You can't really control it, but you can influence it.
Yes.
By active visualization, and by attaching feeling to that active visualization, because that tells you that that's super important to you. And so now your RAS will scan the world for anything that might be related to it. Yeah. So sometimes you'll just be like, you know what? I got this feeling. I got to go do this.
It's your instinct. Essentially, it's translated into your instinct, but you've implanted that instinct, so to speak, in your subconscious level.
Yes.
And now it's just guiding you towards whatever you visualized.
Absolutely.
That's crazy, man.
So like my instinct was to go to JROTC, which I wasn't prompted to. I didn't have to. I was the only of all my siblings to do JROTC. But my instinct was to do it, even though knowing now it has nothing to do with ROTC. It does not. It is not a link into ROTC or to get your commission as an officer.
Right.
But it did give me the skills necessary and the experience
to get to the next level.
To get to ROTC, and I got a full ride scholarship through it.
Wow.
So
that's crazy, man. Chills, bro. Because to be honest with you, not a lot of people understand this concept, and so personally, I don't get to talk about it a lot to people. So when
I don't either.
Yeah, because they'll be like looking like, man, are you a freak? Like what? Despite being the doctor, lawyer, all this stuff, they were like, still like, prove it to me. And I was like, well, I can't. And so that's crazy. That's crazy good. So you get this full ride. Where did you go to college?
Austin Peay State University.
Austin Peay, okay.
Which you would probably guess Austin, Texas.
Texas, correct.
You are incorrect.
Okay.
It is in Clarksville, Tennessee. It is outside, for those of the people that do know or military, it's outside Fort Campbell, where I was born and raised.
Okay.
And Austin Peay, we were the governors. And Austin Peay is a I guess historical governor for the state of Tennessee.
Okay, got it.
So, 4-year state university. Actually, we have that school. I'm actually glad I went to that school. No one even knows about it. It's a very small 4-year university, but our ROTC program was like #1 in the nation.
Oh wow!
Because we had Fort Campbell right there, and we had a huge population of what's called green to gold, which is enlisted soldiers getting out of the military, going to college, and transitioning to become an officer from enlisted to officer.
Got it.
It's called the green to gold program.
Okay.
And my graduating class of ROTC was 16 commissioned officers, 4 were not prior service. 12 were green to gold prior service.
Wow. Okay.
So
the experience was there to share.
Oh,
I mean,
and they're all like airborne, air assault, Ranger tab. We had an SF
like
guy,
top level guys.
Yeah, we had like a special forces tab. He was in group, and he got out and he was going green to gold, and he was the dopest dude. He was
probably because he's seen so much shit.
He was the coolest bro.
Yeah.
And he taught, like, we had that kind of experience that was teaching us as young, college cadets stuff on leadership, basic soldiering tasks, rifle marksmanship, pistol marksmanship, land navigation, PT, all this stuff that you have to learn over 4 years. We're really cramming it in.
Yeah. But it's not an instructor saying do this. It's a dude that actually has done it.
Yeah.
Saying this is the actual how you do it.
Absolutely.
Wow. So going back to the whole manifesting, I like to call it actualization.
Yeah.
Had you not had this vision at 8, you would have not gone to junior JR ROTC, would not have gone to ROTC in that class where you had all these studs coming through to basically teach you how to become.
Yeah. Captain America.
Yeah.
They gave me the serum.
Yeah, this dude took the serum. If you ever seen the Captain America movie, this dude took the juice because
I can show you a picture
bro,
of when I was in college, bro.
Yeah.
And you'd be like,
no, that's not you, man.
No damn
6'3", 6'4", 140, 150,
dude,
bro.
I was like, in college, I was like 170.
I mean, this guy's stacked, man. I mean, literally stacked. So you go through ROTC.
Yeah.
Taking the leadership lessons you learn. Mm-hmm. You're still being formed as a man leader, getting ready to go straight into the military, or what happens?
So yeah, as soon as you graduate college, like literally at the graduation ceremony, at our school at least, they had all the entire ROTC class that was graduating come up, and we got in line and we all raised our right hand and we did our oath of office right there in front of the entire school.
Oh wow. So you're in
at the graduation.
Boom.
So like we literally swear in and we're commissioned that day.
Wow.
And then I got orders. I graduated on May 5th in 2006. I got orders May 9th, and I left Clarksville, Tennessee, May 11th.
It's just that quick.
In 2006.
Do people back out? They're like, do they like at graduation? Do people like?
Oh no!
It's too late. You're in.
No, you're in.
You're in.
We signed contracts before the start of our junior year. You sign a contract with the military.
Okay, so you already know this is happening.
You know it's happening.
Okay, so where did you deploy to?
So when I first got out of college, my first station was Fort Knox because I went to armor school. I was an armor officer. Armor officer.
Man, is the gold really there, bro?
So I don't know. I don't think so. Now the building is there.
The building is there.
This is the coolest thing ever.
Okay.
They have these special lights. I don't know the technology or how it works. I couldn't tell you, and even if I could, I can't.
Yeah. So whatever you can disclose without getting like sniped as we walked out of here. Out of here.
So they have these special lights on the outskirts of the armory, the Fort Knox Armory, whatever it's called. So the building at night, when the lights turn on and like when it's dark outside, the building literally disappears. You just see the lights.
You can't see it.
You cannot see the building.
Like some cloaking crazy something.
It's the craziest thing ever.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Is that to just let us know the gold is not there? It's like
I think it's just a security feature. Like something they did.
Okay.
But it's literally like right there as you go in one of the main gates going on to Fort Knox.
Yeah.
It's like you pass it all the time. But like I'd be coming out at night and you look over and you're like,
it's like, where's the building?
Where is it? So what's
crazy. No night strikes on our gold supply, gold reserve. So Fort Knox.
Yep, stayed there.
You're how old? 22, 1?
I was 21 when I got there. I turned 22 there.
Okay.
When I was there, I stayed there for a year and a half. I did about 5 months of training.
Okay.
And then
you're past the basic training stuff though, right?
So as an officer, there's a lot of different ways you can become an officer. If you go through straight through ROTC as a commissioning source, or if you go through West Point or like what's called USMA, the United States Military Academy, and that's any of the academies.
Okay.
That is basically your basic training.
Got it.
What they're doing in 8 weeks, I'm doing over 4 years.
Got it. Okay.
I'm just doing, and it's way more in depth.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Probably more rich too, like a richer experience.
It is.
It's long. You get to go a little slower.
You go a little slower.
Yeah.
You really absorb everything. At the end of your junior year of college, every single cadet in the entire nation has to go, and we go to what's called, man, it's been a long time since I thought about this. It's leadership. It's like a leadership development course where they basically grade, rack, and stack all of the cadets across the entire nation. And it's a month long that you go out there where they basically test you on all basic soldiering tasks, rifle marksmanship, pistol marksmanship, physical fitness, your land navigation knowledge, land navigation actually in execution. You do field exercises where they put you in a leadership position and they give you a scenario and then they say, go, and then you just got to react and you got to lead your team. And they basically throw all this shit at the fan to see how you react and how you lead through difficult and challenging situations. In the entire time, for that entire 30 days, from the time that you arrive to the time that you leave, you are being graded and watched. Yeah.
So someone's always watching.
Someone's always watching.
So, and then at the end of that, you know exactly where you stand in your class.
And so,
nationwide,
across the entire nation.
So somebody out there is number 3,423 cadet or something like that. Wow.
And you get your number.
You get your number. You know where you are.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So accountability. Yeah. How competitive was it? Were there guys I'm the best dude in the country? No.
There were guys that were definitely competitive. It is a competitive. If you wanted to get in the top third, and everyone's getting the top third because whatever you pick, you basically get. So after we go to camp, or let's go to LDAC, Leadership Development Assessment Course. So after LDAC, you would come back and you would fill out paperwork saying, hey, this is my last year. I'm starting my senior year of college. When I graduate, this is my dream, my top 3 branches of the Army I want to get picked for, like aviation, infantry, armor, whatever. And you'd fill it out. And you had to do like your top 10 basically.
Got it.
Right. And then there's branches that nobody wants.
Okay.
Like chemical corps. Nobody wants to be a chemical corps officer.
Why is that? You don't get to play with different
because
gunpowder or some shit.
No one even knows what a chemical corps
I was about to say, I have no idea. I didn't even know that existed, bro.
I don't even know. Like, and basically, like, it was like the kind of, it was like the monitor lickers of the Army.
Yeah. So that's number 3,000 something. You're probably going to go to chemical corps.
It's terrible.
Who knows, bro? These guys might be billionaires by now. Who knows? They might be. Who knows?
They might be. Yeah. So I actually have a friend that went chemical corps.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So
that's funny, bro.
So you're trying to compete. And then what they do is they take also your college GPA. They take all of your evaluations from every single year that you've been in ROTC. They take write-ups from your cadre, and then they get set to Cadet Command. And Cadet Command literally looks at everything. Hey, what extracurriculars have you done?
Yeah.
Did you work part-time while you're in college?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What was your grades? And they have this whole like pie chart of how they're racking and stacking everything. How was your performance at camp? And at the end, you get a number, and everyone wants to get top third because then you are pretty likely to get what's called your top choice or like within your top.
Oh, 3. If you finish top third, you're likely get number 1 or top 3 of your 10.
Yes.
Okay. So this brings us like translating this out of the military world into our audience's world. A couple points shine out to me, which is no matter when it matters. No matter how mundane or inconsequential you think the task is, it falls into the equation of how you may be evaluated or are evaluated.
Absolutely.
Right? It could be, I always envision, like if there's trash on the ground, how many people walk past it and who is going to actually bend down, reach up and throw it in the trash can.
Absolutely.
It could be something as simple as that on campus where somebody's
paying
attention and grading who does what.
Yes.
In the smallest little thing.
Yep.
And so it translates into your final score of basically they're trying to figure out who you are. Mm-hmm. Right? And so it all stacks up. I guess rack and stack, I guess.
Yeah. That's what we call it, rack and stack.
And then the second thing is someone's always watching. Yep. Someone is always watching, regardless.
No matter what. Even if you think someone's not watching, someone's watching.
Yeah, in life or where you work or whatever you do, someone's always watching, and somebody's forming a judgment about your character or who you are.
Yes, and either being influenced one way or another.
Right. Man, so you go to Fort Knox.
Yeah.
And what did you get your top choice?
I got my top choice.
Okay, I wanted to
do armor with a branch detail of military intelligence, which meant that I would do armor for the first 4 years.
Armor, describe for the audience what armor is.
I mean, I rode around in tanks like I was General Patton.
Okay. Are you driving or are you on top of the lid open?
Lid open.
Yeah, you're like
tank commander,
yeah.
TCing it up. I got name tape defilade, which means that I'm standing up just where right there at the name tape level. And I was in the M1A2 Abrams SEP V, which is basically the most modern model that we had when I was in.
Okay. So like me and a lot of our audience who's never been in a tank, what does that feel like, dude?
Oh, dude, it's the most uncomfortable piece of equipment.
So it's not as sexy as people think.
Oh no, it's pretty sexy.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's sexy. Okay.
There is nothing. There's nothing in the world. This is actually very excited.
I can see you, dude.
There's nothing in the world like literally looking, because it's got all these screens and you have the joysticks.
Yeah.
It's like playing a damn video game.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So you have these joysticks that you're literally like aiming, and you can look out, and you have this little tiny cursor. So I'll be like, I can see all the way out 4,000 meters away. I can be like,
is that a mile? 2 miles?
That's
I don't know.
The 1,600 meters is a mile.
Oh, so almost 3.5 miles.
That's almost 3 miles.
Yeah. Okay.
Almost 3 miles. And I can see something out. I can hit a little button. It's the LRF, the laser rangefinder. It'll send a laser and lock onto it, and it'll come back and say and it'll tell me the exact meters. And then I'll say, fire on the way, click, boom, and you will literally watch it just.
Wow.
And just reach out and touch something.
Wow.
Up to 4,000 meters away. There's nothing in the world like that.
That's crazy. And so the recoil in a tank is just.
That thing, like if you've ever been near a tank when they fire.
No, I know. I'm sure a lot of our audiences never have, man. That's crazy.
It sends a shock wave through your body.
Like it's percussive.
Really? You can be in a building that's like 50 meters away, and you'll feel it.
Okay, so I'm thinking like front row at a mega heavy metal concert, that kind of like heavy bass kind of boom, boom, boom.
Times 10.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Like literally like if you're outside the tank, you wouldn't want to be. It'd be really loud. But if you were, it would literally throw you back. It would like lift your body.
Lift you're airborne.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can see how that's pretty badass. That's super badass, dude.
That's super fucking cool.
Okay, damn, man.
So when I was in training, by the way, this is funny. I'm so tall. The driver.
And again, this dude is 6'7", 250, raw muscle, Captain America, bro. Captain America, I'm telling you. Okay, go ahead.
So the driver, the driver is in the hull, right? And then there's the hull, which is the bottom part of the tank, and then there's the turret, which operates independently. Okay. So like the tank can be moving this way, and the turret can move,
swivel
and go wherever, and it's 2 different compartments. Okay.
Oh wow.
So all that's in the hull is the driver. That's it.
Okay.
And it's a small little tiny it's like a Cadillac lean back kind of chair.
Yeah, just like a cockpit. Tiny, tight.
But you're like leaned back at like a 45-degree angle. And then you have your feet, and it literally is a T-bar that comes out that's like you would rev like a motorcycle, and it just turns like this. That's it. That's it.
No, their pedals are used.
No
nothing.
Pedals. No pedals.
You're just laid back with the.
So that just like this, and
that's got to be uncomfortable if you're going for hours and hours and hours.
My knees and my legs are so long.
Yeah.
I couldn't turn.
That's how you got to ride at the top, bro.
So, in training, when I go through training, everybody has to do every position.
Of course.
And when we went in the field, the instructors at the time were enlisted soldiers. They were young enlisted soldiers, and they thought it was the funniest shit.
Of course, bro.
To put me in the driver's seat every single time they could.
Of course. Kind of like hazing, but like in a way, yeah.
And it's because they could see it, because they would see me like because I couldn't turn. So what I did was I'd kick my leg up like that.
So you're
and I would drive, and I would take this leg and I'd put it like kitty corner. Across.
So for the audience that's just listening, not on YouTube, on video, imagine if you're driving a tiny car and you have to hang one leg out of the window. With your knee over the windowsill, and that would be your left leg, and then your right leg is angled towards where your brake pedal is.
Yes.
That's how he was sitting inside this tank.
And I had to drive like that. It was so uncomfortable. And so the tank rides from the hull so smooth. It rides like a Cadillac. So like I would be going over terrain.
Okay, see, I imagine it being like a rough ride, like chiropractic.
It's rough for everyone in the turret.
Oh wow!
But for me, I could be hitting bumps, and I'm just like,
it's smooth.
Just smooth. Yeah. And so I was like, after a while, I was like, you guys think that shit's funny? Okay. I was hitting every ridge line I could, every like down here bump, and they're like, fucking knock it off.
That's funny, dude. That's funny. So your armor, and then intelligence.
Yeah. So I did the branch detail program, which means that I do that armor for 4 years. I learn how to be a combat officer, I get a combat officer, right? I'm sorry, combat arms is what I was for. A combat arms officer. I did that for 4 years. And then I take that experience and I become a combat support officer, which was for me was military intelligence. And I understand what it is that my combat arms officers need because I'm in support of them now. So at a staff level, when a commander comes and says, hey, I'm looking for military intelligence to support the operation, this, that, I know exactly what it is that he's asking for and what he actually needs.
Okay.
So then I can come in and say, hey, sir, this is how I'm going to support you. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
I speak their language. I know their lingo, all that stuff.
Okay.
It makes it a lot easier, makes my relationship better, and that makes me more of a force multiplier.
Okay.
So
fantastic. So you seem like a very easygoing guy, but like the military is very, very strict.
Yeah.
Kind of like what your parents tried to instill with you. Were there any rough patches with authority? Any kind of in your training, like sort of?
I never really had too many rough patches with authority on my end. I always got along with my commanders. I think that the worst time that I had, or the most challenging time that I had, I was in Fort Carson. In Fort Carson, Colorado, and I was a captain at the time. I just got done with my military intelligence training, and after I went to the military intelligence captain's career course, which is almost like a graduate level degree course, afterwards I got selected to go to the what's called 35 Fox course, which was all human intelligence, source operations, interrogation operations, how to run a successful human intelligence program from the division level all the way down to brigade level.
Oh, wow.
And so I left there and I was selected to become basically the brigade human intelligence manager, or what's called the S2X for 4-4, 4-4, 4th Brigade, 4th Infantry Division out of Fort Carson.
Okay.
So I worked directly technically for the S2, who is the Brigade S2, who is the overall intelligence officer for the brigade commander. But I'm more of an operations because I'm actually doing operations, and then I happen to get intelligence that I just feed to the S2.
Okay.
So because in interrogation operations and source operations are actual operations, collection operations, which kind of falls under the purview of S3.
Okay. So
I worked more with the S3 and directly with the brigade commander.
Okay.
Now, my brigade S2 at the time, when we first started, he did not understand this concept. It was just like, he kept trying to get me to do like intelligence analysis and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff that you're like, nah, I'm not here to do that.
Bro, that's not my job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was a major, I'm a captain. And I'm like, and I was just like, bro,
no,
I'm not doing that. Do you have an entire room of monkey analysts?
Yeah.
That's their job.
That's them. That's not
them.
Me.
You even have officers that are over those monkey analysts that help them do it. Like, no, bro, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I manage operations. Like, I went to special school to manage the legalities of this, to actually do these operations. Like, use me as I'm supposed to be used. I am a force multiplier in that sense. I will be able to gather a lot of intelligence and hand it over to you.
Okay.
You guys can go ahead and do the analysis from there, right?
Got it. So real quick, Don, I'm going to interrupt you. Describe to our audience what a force multiplier when you use that expression.
Okay.
Because that applies. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So I'll break it down. I'll try to make it sound simple.
I mean, it's a complex.
It is a complex
concept, right?
Let's say you have something that you want to do. And I'm going to break it down real simple. You have a stain you want to get out of your clothes. If you were to just use water, it wouldn't work really well. So how do you actually accomplish that? You would use a stain remover. So let's say that you got stain X. That is a force multiplier to accomplish the mission of getting the stain out.
Got it.
That's it. So it's something
so it's
that
additive, like
it's an additive.
Okay, got it. It's an additive.
So whatever your mission is, so the Brigade S2's mission was to do intelligence collection and analysis for the commander to paint the picture of what the enemy's most likely course of action and most dangerous course of action. Like, what are they most likely going to do? And what's the worst thing they can do based on their capabilities? And then what do we think the likeliness is? And then we use that picture of the enemy for the commander to say, okay, so based on that, this is what our actions are going to be.
Got it.
That's what the S2 does.
Got it.
So I'm a force multiplier by an additive of collecting intelligence via talking to people. Human intelligence is just talking to people.
Yes.
Having a conversation, elicitation, interrogation, source operations, talking to people and making friends enough to where they're like, I want to give you this information, or they don't even know.
Yeah, they're just freely giving it away.
They're just freely giving it. So I then take that, we would write up intelligence reports, and we would feed it to the S2 so they could use that to have a more complete intelligence picture of what the bad guys were doing.
Of what they needed, okay.
So it's just an additive to their overall mission.
Got it, force multiplier. So taking it into the real world, and we'll talk about Delta Financial in a minute, but like when you look to hire agents or brokers for your financial services firm, are there certain qualities where you're like, hey, this guy could be a force multiplier or this guy or gal, or is it just kind of?
There is, yeah. So when I'm
people should look for ways to become a force multiplier if you're looking to get
absolutely
hired, the next level, go up the ranks, whatever.
Absolutely. There's a quote that I heard the other day. It's something around the lines of like, work harder than what you're paid, and soon you'll be paid for more than what you work, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's somewhere around that. I'm butchering the quote right now. But ultimately, it's kind of like, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Ask not what this position can do for you or this company can do for you, but what you can do for that company. And when you and what happens is that me as a company, I'm trying to do everything I can to lift you up. And if you are trying to like do everything you can to make this company better, man, that's a huge
win. That's a huge win.
Marriage.
Yeah.
Because and this is why it's called force multipliers, because when you have those two things connect, it's not an addition. It's not an additional.
It's not one-to-one.
It's not one-to-one.
Yeah.
It's like 1 + 1 = 4.
Yeah.
It's a multiplication effort.
Yeah.
And so the efforts of both are amplified.
Got it. Huge.
And compounded.
Huge. The second follow-up question would be, do you think your mom's occupation as a psychologist influenced your decision to want to get into intelligence?
I don't know. That's a good question. No one's ever saw that. I do like talking to people, and I like the leadership aspect of influence and influencing people.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by that. And
human behavior, decision making.
Yeah. I've always had my buddy, I have a good friend of mine, his name's Tyler Mitchell. He's the owner of Fifth Dimension Potential, and he helped me create Delta Financial what it is today. So Mitch, shout out, bro, I love you. So
what is his name again? Mitch what?
Tyler Mitchell.
Tyler Mitchell, and the name of his company is?
Fifth Dimension Potential.
Fifth Dimension Potential, okay.
So Mitch and I are good friends. We've been working together for several years now, and he's always kind of messed around with me because he teased me because he's like, dude, you have like, it's almost like a intuition.
Yes.
He's like, you have an intuition about you. Because we're like, dude, we need to do this, we need to do this. And I'm like, it's not time. And he's like, dude, you're just putting it off. And then one day it's literally like my RAS kicks in.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's time. Today's the day. I'm going to do it like this. And it plays out almost exactly like I think it's going to play out.
Yeah. It's, I've met a few people like that. I'm kind of like that myself, but it's very rare. But when it plays out, it's crazy how it plays out exactly. Yeah. And so I'm wondering, and this is just out loud, I don't know the answer, is that a learned skill, or is it an innate thing that you're just like, this guy just has, or this gal has this ability to time things right and not foretell, but pre-plan it exactly like how it's going to play out?
That's a good question. I like these kind of conversations, by the way.
That's good, man. I'm glad. See, I'm going to make that flight in well worth it, bro.
Oh, yeah. So So have you ever seen? There's an old movie called The Mothman Prophecies. You ever seen it?
No, I've not seen
old.
that.
It's,
Okay.
I think it's got Richard Gere in it. I don't remember, but in the movie, the premise is like they have the ability, like they would call and they would warn of this impending doom, and it was almost like they thought it was God or like it was like angels warning them. And like the end, they kind of posed a question. It was like, well, what if it's just somebody from a different point of view?
Yes.
What if they're just watching it? They're warning you of a car crash, but what if they're just looking at a bird's eye point of view from 30,000 feet, and they see the cars heading up, on the ground. You can't see that.
Yeah, it's perspective. Perspective. Yes.
And so that always kind of stuck with me. It's an old movie. I saw it when I was a kid, and I've just learned I think it's more I identify my own behaviors and how I feel, and I kind of categorize and log them in my mind, and I write about it a lot. And so when I see people that act very similarly as I have acted in certain situations, I'm like, I know how they feel because I know how I felt. And you would find that psychology, the way that it works, it's really just because it's parallel across all people. And when it's not, that's when psychologists get really interested.
Yeah.
That's when they're like, oh, there's a problem here, right?
Got it.
Because you are an anomaly. You don't fit with the group.
So pattern and system recognition.
Yes.
And then
and behaviors and in feelings and emotions and
so then the key in that instance would be exposing or understanding enough of the patterns.
Yes.
To spot what doesn't fit.
Exactly.
And that is a learned thing, or that's an innate thing, or through experience.
It's an experiential, just learned thing. I might have a leg up because I was experienced to my mom growing up.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've heard, and she's very good at it too.
Okay.
Like they used to call her. There is an old. It's like a Greek. She's not a goddess.
Yeah.
But she's in Greek mythology. Called Cassandra.
Okay.
And she could and she was like a seer for the gods.
Got it.
And
like
so,
an oracle, so
like
to speak.
An oracle,
yeah,
and she would just she could just call everything.
And
she just had this ability to be able to tell the gods what was going to happen. And so at work, everyone called my mom Cassandra.
Huh.
Even though her mom...
Because she just felt it.
Because she would be like, oh man, this is what's going down. This happened, this happened, this happened. And she would call things as it was happening.
So in my mind, there's a financial modeling called the Monte Carlo analysis, where... Let's say an event is expected to happen, event A. The Monte Carlo would model out all possible ranges of effect B if event A happened. So in an infinite number of possibilities from 0.0001% that this could happen to 50% likely that this could happen.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, if there's a decision that needs to be made about risk or whatever, I am mentally going through as many possibilities in my mind as possible and trying to elicit, well, which one is the most, or which combination is the most likely. And then you're able to, okay, if that is the most likely, then that's what I'm planning for. And then inevitably it turns out that it was I was accurate in the most likely scenario and it's already planned out.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that takes a lot of imagination to really think about all the possibilities of ranges of things that can happen, or experience, right? And I think that the combination of both to envision things that just would wildly never possibly happen, but it's still a probability that affects the overall probability of the main thing happening.
Yes.
Right. So
I think it also takes empathy.
It is a lot of that. I think there's a huge amount of that. Let's just say, human behavior is driven a lot by feelings, emotions, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on context. And so to put yourself in that other person's role, if I were him or her,
if I were that person, and
what would I do?
Why would I be doing this? What is my motivating
exactly?
Factors? What is my end state? Why, if I'm doing this action, what's the end state I'm trying to get to?
Yes.
The reason I'm doing this, right?
Yes.
And then being like, well, if I was doing that, there's only so many reasons of why I could be doing that. Here are the most likely reasons, and here's the kind of percentages of why. And then here's also kind of factors along the way that are markers that will tell me really quickly which way it's actually going and why.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's almost like these markers, these like phase lines, as we'd call in the military, hey, at phase 1, when it's this much time has gone through, if this is the course of action, this is the conditions that will be set. If this is the course of action, these are the conditions that will be set.
Okay.
If this is course of action 3, these are the conditions. So when you get to phase 1 and you look at the conditions, you're like, oh, we're very clearly in course of action 1.
Because you've already pattern recognized.
We've already pattern recognized.
So exactly what's happening.
You can actually do this on a human behavior level.
Yeah. So on the human, it's like something like software. A lot of if then. So the key then would be, if this is a mechanism that could be taught, I guess the variable would be how fast can someone go through that mental exercise.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you got to train somebody up to be able to go through those many scenarios, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it would be a combination. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. Through experience.
Yeah.
Through reading.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's a book, Thinking Fast and Slow, where right. So wherein the super great athletes, while you would think they were the most talented, it's their ability to have experienced so many similar patterns that they get to slow the sport down.
They slow everything down.
Slow everything down mentally in order to have more time to react and outperform. So it's kind of all that intertwined together.
And it's almost like what you find is that the more you do something, the extraneous thoughts of if you're doing it right and what's your performance and if people are going to laugh at you and this, that, the other, that are clouding your mind. It's not that the time's speeding up or slowing down. It's that your mind's not clouded.
You're filtering it out.
You're filtering all that out because you've done it so many times that you're so focused on the task at hand that you can tune out everything. And it feels as if you've actually slowed down time.
Yeah.
But what it is you put all of your mental prowess into the task at hand.
That one thing.
Everything.
Yeah. That's crazy because, the real function of your eyes and your mind and your senses is not to gather information. It's to figure out what information is important and what information is not important to allow your brain to work efficiently. That's crazy, man. Getting it back to your life story, man. I love this conversation, bro. I love this conversation.
I do, man.
So you're in Colorado in this deployment. Like, when do you actually go to when do you get the notice, hey, you're going to Iraq?
Oh, okay. So
let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah. So no. Well, actually, we have to rewind because I went from Fort Knox. I was there for a year and a half because I became an XO, an executive officer for a basic training battalion, and I was basic training company XO. And for armor enlisted soldiers going through basic training and their AIT, or their advanced individual training, it was what's called OSIT, which is one station unit training. So instead of going to basic training in one place and then doing advanced individual training in another place, they did it all at one company, one place. 16 weeks. I went through 4 different classes, 16 weeks with all these different soldiers, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Because I got to do everything that
you're just seeing all these different things. Yeah.
I got to go in the field and do it 4 times. I went through 4 basic training classes, right? Got this fire.
That's how you got all jacked. That's how you got all jacked, bro.
Actually,
most guys go once. You're like, whoa, I'm going through 4.
I actually, that was the first time I actually saw like NCOs scream, at these soldiers, these young privates, because being an officer is a gentleman's course. They don't get dirty. No dirt in their hands. I mean, you get dirty, but there's no NCO that's just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
5-finger point.
Drop in, give me 50. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, doesn't happen. Huh. So my first day, I got there, I reported, and the company commander is like, hey, the platoon sergeant's in back. You want to go meet him? I'm like, yeah. So I go back there, and he's like, hey, this is the brand new Lieutenant Birch. Hey, this is platoon sergeant. Is like Sergeant so and so. Hey, he's gonna walk you. And this was a jacked drill sergeant, And he was like, "What's up, sir?" Like, hey, I was like, "Nice to meet you. I'm gonna take you over. You want to go see the barracks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine. That's great." And so he's like talking. He's like, "Hey, where are you from? What school did you go to? This, that, the other. Like, how long you been here? When did you get out of training?" He's just asking us questions. And we're walking from the main company building to the barracks where all the soldiers are. And so as we're walking, we're going, through these different walkways, and we're coming up to the barracks, and you're starting to see soldiers that are running around doing their thing,
push-ups, sit-ups, all these things, yeah,
like outside, like doing PT and stuff. And a soldier runs by me, and he stops and he goes to parade rest for a second. He was like, "Drill sergeant, how's it going?" And then he goes back to tension, and he starts to take off running. And the drill sergeant's like, what the fuck did you just do? He's like, I'm walking by an officer, motherfucker.
Talking about you.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was like, you just don't fucking salute officers now? Is it what, you think you're fucking special? Do you think you're fucking special?
You're like, whoa, bro.
And I was like, no, it's okay. He was like, no, sir, I fucking got this.
Show damn respect when you're supposed to happen.
And I felt bad. And I'm looking.
You're almost guilty, right?
Yeah, I looked at the soldier. I was like, I'm sorry.
That's funny, dude. That's funny.
Like I'm brand new.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. Crazy good. Crazy funny, man.
So I was there for a year, doing that, and then I left. I went to Fort Hood.
Yeah.
In Fort Hood, I was a platoon leader twice. I got 2 different platoon leader positions, and then I became an XO again, and that was on deployment. And that's when I deployed to Iraq from my unit, which was 1-8 Cav, as part of 2nd Brigade Combat Team and 1st Cav Division out of Fort Hood.
Okay, so this is what year?
This is in 2008, 2009. So
okay.
I got there at the end of 2007, and we deployed at the end of 2008.
Okay, and so how do you find out you're going to Iraq? And was it kind of like?
Oh, it was known when we got there.
Oh, you're going.
Like, hey, we're like this whole year we're prepping. At the end of this year, we're going to Iraq. Right. We're prepping. Here's your new assignment.
And your approach to this was,
let's
go.
Yeah, man. I didn't.
Let's go. I didn't go join to sit around. Yeah.
I didn't join the team to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
You know, that was what we used to say.
And so you're anticipating combat.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah. Okay. My platoon sergeant used to talk so much shit to me because he's like, sir, he would just like we would just be walking around the office and he would look at me. He's like, sir, you're really tall. You're gonna. Snipers are gonna fucking end you.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, he's like that. He's feeding
like,
already.
He's like, you're gonna get out of a vehicle once, and they're gonna snipe you right in the head, sir. Like just real calm. And I was like, all right, thanks, Sergeant.
Yeah,
thank you.
right.
Like,
so you get to Iraq, and obviously we could spend 3 shows talking about your experience in overseas in Iraq. Yeah. But kind of like any highlight moments. I mean, this it's where you get your bronze medal. Yeah. Which can you describe to the audience what a bronze medal is? I don't understand.
The Bronze Star Medal is just it's like a meritorious.
Not just it is yeah.
It's equivalent of what the Meritorious Service Medal is. It's just the Meritorious Service Medal is for stateside missions, or garrison was what we call. And deployed, that is a deployment award. So it's traditionally given to officers that are like captain or above, as long as they served honorably in a deployment, or if you did something special, like you had a specific
did a badass job.
You did a badass job.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so you've earned your first one in Iraq, or you're both in Iraq?
I earned my combat action badge for the first time.
Okay.
And I earned my Bronze Star Medal, my first one, on that first deployment.
Okay. And what did you do to earn it?
So
besides do a badass job yourself.
So yeah, I mean, I was a badass officer, you know.
Yeah.
I was serving at the time. I was an executive officer for Alpha Company, 1-8 Cav, which is a infantry company.
Okay.
And so I was the executive officer, and which means I was second in command. I was underneath the company commander, and I was also the money guy. So we would use money to pay off people, to pay off top level, like influential leaders
in Iraq.
Yeah. We did micro grants. We got this program called micro grants, where we would have them propose a business proposal. Like let's say they wanted to create or build a shop.
Yeah,
like a
metal shop, or
like a metal shop. They'd say, "Hey, this is the stuff I need." Now they couldn't use stuff that was expendable, but like, "Hey, for my metal shop, I need
equipment.
I need this equipment," and they would itemize it and they would price it, and then they had to show the where they're buying it from and what the actual price was, and we could get them up to $25,000 which was like, I think the conversion was like several $100,000.
Why can't we do that stateside to help entrepreneurs, right?
You're right. Like, why the hell not?
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Like inner city businesses, and a couple $100,000 for somebody that wants,
You would think that would be the.
I mean, that would solve a lot of issues in the country if we could just do that at home. But anyway, that's not to get political. But anyway, so you're in charge of the money.
So I had to go through these microtransactions and all do this and approve them and be like, if they were good, be like, yes, this is good, approve. And then I would do the funding request to the government. The U.S. government would send money to us, and then we would have to have it actually converted from U.S. dollar to dinar, to Iraqi dinar. And then I would go out. They call me Sheikh Flus, was to shake money. And so I would literally go out with.
Wait, say it again.
Sheikh Flus.
Like that was your street name. That's your street name. Shake Flus.
Oh, dude, it was so funny. It was so funny. Like I would literally pack up a duffel bag, one of those big green duffel bags. I would pack it full of Iraqi dinar.
That's crazy. You're the money guy, like Money Mayweather or whatever.
Dude, it got to a point where like people knew, they'd see me, they're like, Sheikh Flus, and I'm like, Sheikh
Flus. So here's a 6'7" dude with a bag full of cash, head and shoulders above probably the rest of your platoon or whatever.
Yep.
And like that's the dude with the money.
Yep.
That's fucking crazy.
It was good times.
That's hilarious, man. Okay. So then obviously it's not the money that got you the bronze medal, right?
No. So we started using money to pay, and we created a militia, an Iraqi militia paid for by the U.S. government called the Sons of Iraq, and
to fight alongside.
To guard the roads. We just wanted
okay, got it.
To watch the roads
for bombs and
for
ambush
people,
and whatever.
People's trying to place ambushes and place IEDs, anything like that, so that the roads would stay clear.
Okay.
And we put a guard post that was manned by 2 people every single mile of every single road that we travel.
That's a lot, dude.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Okay.
And we paid every single person.
Wow.
And they had leadership that was above them, and leadership above them, and then the top dude.
But these aren't like formal Iraqi sponsor. This is kind of like I don't know, like the godfather of that town.
Yes.
Like just a regular dude, but happened to be knowing everybody there.
And that's how we kind of picked it, was like whoever had kind of the influence of that town, he was the one that got to pick who was on the squad.
And you would pay him, and he would distribute the money.
Yes.
Got it.
And then he took a cut off
of everybody. Course, I was about to say he's going to put a little to the side for himself.
He took a cut off of everybody. And it was funny. They didn't even hide it. Like, they would go through, because they had what's called Tazkira numbers.
Yeah.
So and that's kind of like their social security number. So they'd go through, and they'd have to verify the Tazkira number. They'd have to show a thing. They'd have to sign something. And it's like, okay, this is how much you're getting paid. And it was a whole process where there was a soldier at each one. Right?
Yeah.
And then there was the person that gave them the money. And at the last station wasn't even a station. It was just his manager that was like this. And he would come up and he would pay him.
Just stacking money.
And he would pay him a little piece of it, and then he'd walk out. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And I tried to stop it, and my commander at the time, he was like, no, bro. Like,
this
is their culture.
Their deal.
This is like, they got to do it. So.
Which kind of brings a lesson of literally it's when in Rome, right? When in Rome, do as the Romans.
Yes.
Right? And does that apply in the real world, in the business world, for the audience? Like, if you find yourself in an environment where you're not the non-local, don't try to come in and influence your values into a system that's already in place.
It's just you just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work.
Right.
And you're just going to ostracize yourself even more.
Right.
So you very much, I mean, that motto, that saying is completely on point.
Right on point. Okay.
Right on point.
So one day you're going through a marketplace.
Yeah. So we had done all the paperwork to do the SOI, because we were transitioning over to me being the money guy, which took a couple months. And about month 3 deployment.
You're in Iraq, third month out.
This is third month out in Iraq, and we're like, finally get the money. So they gave us back pay for the last 2 months. So it was 3 months worth of pay
for these Iraqi soldiers.
For all these SOI militiamen. And we go to the top leader, who like basically controls our entire AO. His name's Mullah Majid.
Okay.
Mullah Majid. And he has this nice compounds off the Tigris River. And we go and we sit down with him, and we basically set up a thing. He's like, celebration, and he's like bringing out all these kind of people. There's people cooking.
Yeah.
They're like making food.
Yeah.
And like it's just this huge big thing. And so we decide that we're like, we get everything set up. We started to eat, and we're waiting for food, and everyone's starting to get paid out. And so we're like, hey, let's just go down to the marketplace, because he's like kind of near the market, so it's a little bit of a walk. So we grabbed some Iraqi police, and we decided we're gonna go hit the marketplace. And we did everything in partnership, because this was after the SOFA agreement, the Status of Forces agreement. So, which means we do everything hand in hand, right?
Yeah, to teach them
how to
re-civilize their country, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
to take responsibility of their country. So we're going through the marketplace, and it's bustling, and we ended up going to this shop. It's like a convenience store, kind of like a 7-Eleven, but no gas or anything. It's just a convenience store, and they have what they call fizzy bubblies, and it's kind of like a Fanta.
Okay.
It's like a Fanta there.
Okay.
It's their own version, but they would the Iraqi police would be like, with a little bit fizzy bubbly, and they would like hold their hand up and shake like this,
like just to get
like a child.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you want something to drink?
Yeah.
So we went in there, we bought them some fizzy bubblies, and we're like sitting there drinking, and then we end up going all the way through the market. And there's always people. There's like people selling food in the streets.
Transaction, just like a
I mean, it's a dirt
farmer's market. Yeah, like a farmer's market.
It's like a really, really shitty farmer's market.
Okay.
Like
dirty, dusty.
Dirty. Just
okay,
disgusting.
got it.
Smells
okay.
like
Smells like it.
feces.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So we walk all the way down to the end of the market, and we walk to the end of town, and then there's a loop. We basically loop back, and we're coming back through. And as we're coming back through, the market is fucking empty. It is empty.
Deserted. Ghost town.
Deserted.
Nobody there. Like how fast was it? Like you make the loop and like people are gone.
It was like 10 minutes.
10 minutes, you're back, people are gone.
10 minutes.
Middle of the day.
Yeah.
Like what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Spidey senses on fire.
Oh, dude, on fire. And I kind of look over and I'm like, hey, bro. And this is another one of the team leaders. I'm like, hey, bro, this is just like in training or in the movies. Like it's all empty.
It's too quiet, right?
Too quiet.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like what happens right before attack. And like as I'm saying that, we heard a clink, and I looked over and someone had thrown a grenade, a hand grenade at us, and it was like right by me, and I just happened to like reach down and just kind of chuck it. It was like a softball, kind of like grab and like chuck real quick, and exploded about 15 feet away from us.
That's crazy. How many people were you in your group?
It was a platoon, so it was like half a platoon actually. So 16.
16 people.
About 16.
So like you went through that kind of scooping motion in slow motion, but like split second.
It was a split second.
Like that.
And then we did it. We ducked. We got behind something. It blew up.
Like how much time?
5 seconds.
5 seconds for explosion.
4 to 5 seconds.
So clink
from the time. So the way a grenade works is that you have the pin, okay, or you have the hammer. So the hammer is what actually, when it comes out, is what actually starts the timer. So you have a pin that holds the hammer in. So basically you'll pull the pin, and then when you throw it, the hammer's on a spring, and it comes in.
And then you have 4 or 5 seconds.
And then you have 4 to 5 seconds from that.
So it's 1 or 2 seconds in the air.
So it's like, 1 2 seconds in the air. So I had maybe like a second that I was like, that I reacted just quick enough.
Did you even think?
No.
Just entire instinct.
Entire instinct.
That's nuts, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was insanity.
Literally 16 dudes dead.
I think, with our armor and everything, it probably would have been like 4 dudes dead.
Man.
You'd
be one of them because it's probably closest to you.
Been one of them. Yeah.
Wow.
I would have had shrapnel like going up my leg and like my intestines. I'd have bled to death. I'd been done.
Whoa, bro. I can't even imagine. Yeah. Like literally can't imagine. So you say, okay. So then,
So we started.
Like, are you trembling or like, are you?
No, dude, you're like, dude, it's the most focused I've ever felt in my life.
We're like calm.
It was just
like it slowed down.
Everything slowed down, very focused, and it was like automatically scanning and looking around, and then hearing gunfire and being like, and looking at it, seeing it, calling the gunfire out, like getting in position, starting to return fire. They started running. We're deciding like, oh man, we're gonna go after these kids. These were
they were kids.
They were kids. They couldn't have been older than 16. They could not have been.
Wow.
Wow. And
so now let me break that down, man, because this is like real life death.
Yeah.
And there's fight or flight. I call it flight or curl up or curl fetal. I call it I actually call it fight or fetal because people will just curl up in the fetal position if you're not going to fight. But like it's slow. It like in your mind, everything slowed down.
Yeah.
Was that through training, or what caused it to slow down mentally for you? Like to know exactly, okay, this is happening. I needed to, you instruct your platoon to do what?
Ultimately, yeah. So in the military, we have what's called battle drills.
Okay.
And what a battle drill is like a simple action or a reaction from an action that you encounter on the battlefield. So let's say that you get ambushed. there is a battle drill for how you react to an ambush. So what happens is that you go through that battle drill and you do it so repetitively. You do it not once, not twice, not 10 times, not 100 times. You do it so many times that it gets to the point to where you do it without thinking, like it's second nature. And that's when you've actually trained. Now, not all units do that like this. They're supposed to.
Got it.
The purpose behind it is to do like that. We actually did train that way. Like we trained our battle drills to the point where it was so ingrained in us that we did it faster. But it was like muscle memory would kick in. Like when something happened, everyone knew intrinsically where to go and how to act.
Wow.
And it was just
moving like a unit, like a complete
unit. You knew exactly what to do.
And you knew what everybody else was doing.
Yes.
Because they drilled it so hard.
And it literally turned, like it flips a switch in your brain. Like it's like go time, right?
Yeah.
And the point of the battle drill is that whenever you get under attack, the fog of war, which is real, kicks in. And when you get under the fog of war, your decision-making abilities are severely compromised. So therefore, if you can have something that's just almost subconscious muscle memory, you won't have to worry about you being compromised. You can actually still react.
Yeah, so you're not even making decisions at that point. You're just doing.
You're just reacting.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with sports.
Yeah.
So much repetition that I like to say
habitual.
It's habitual. Well, I'd like to say, my son plays basketball. If you're shooting 60% with no, in practice with no pressure, the reality is you're 20, 30% in game with pressure.
Yeah.
Right. And so you've got to put enough reps in where it's instinctual, where you're 60% in practice, it translates to 40%. You got to bring up that percentage under pressure, POP, I call it, or PUP, PUP, percentage under pressure through the training.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So, ever get these kids? Like, what happened to the kids?
So, one of them got tagged by somebody. I don't know who. We all were firing.
Yeah.
But we saw blood in the alleyway. They like ran behind an alleyway. Couldn't find them. We ran around. We were like looking everywhere for them. Couldn't find them. Went to our vehicles, jumped in, started driving around. Couldn't find them. And we went back to the compound, to Mullah Majid's compound. And I was fucking heated. I was like,
that same day.
Like, this is like in a span of 30 minutes.
Yeah, because he's the dude that's supposed to know everything going on in the village.
He's
the guy. He's the godfather.
Yeah, and he's dirty.
Nothing happens
without
his say or order.
Just not happening.
Okay.
And I pull up, and I get out of the vehicle, and I look over at my interpreter. I'm like, you, get over here.
Yeah.
And I'm walking up, and I'm like, you better fucking translate every damn word I say.
Literally like that. Like,
I go up to Mullah Majid and I'm literally pointing at his chest and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on in your town?
So for you those of you not on YouTube, 6'7", you're probably
So at this time I'm probably like 220.
220 jacked.
Yeah.
Young dude.
Yeah.
His hand is the size of, I don't know, fucking a cantaloupe. Pointing into this dude, how tall is Mullah Majid?
Probably 5'10".
5'10", average looking guy.
Yeah.
You're right up in his face, like, what the fuck happened? Did he shit his pants? Like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Because if you did that to me, like, I'll be like, okay, yeah, whatever, man.
I could tell, like, initially, like, he, like, got shocked. And then there was, like, you could tell he kind of was like, who the fuck are you? Like, yeah, he's an older dude. Like,
okay.
He's got
so he didn't So did you think he knew this happened, or
I felt like if either he knew it happened and he's gonna play dumb, or he didn't know it happened and he ain't got as much power as he thinks he's got.
Okay.
But either way, there's a fucking problem.
You're gonna find out. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
There's a problem. And so I basically was just scolded him, got in his face, did the old 5-finger death point right in his chest, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why? Yeah. How is it that we literally had millions of Iraqi dinar that we were handing out right there, and I'm like, I'm about to wrap up all this shit. I'm about you stop handing out money. You stop start packing this shit up. Like,
yeah. Let's get the
get the fuck out of here. Yeah. They're not even doing their job. And he's like, no, I'll handle it. And he's trying to get me to calm down. And so I'm like, you better fucking handle it.
Yeah.
Like, this will not stand. It's not okay.
Yeah.
So, a couple days later, like literally 2 days later, I think it's like the next day, he gives us a call, And
come to the compound.
Yeah, and the interpreter is like, or translator is like, hey, Mulmaji's on the phone, and he gets on the phone and he's talking to him, and he's like, hey, he says he found the kids that did it. He's got them, and I was like, good, we're coming tomorrow morning. We're gonna go talk to him.
Yeah.
I want to find out what's going on, X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. He says you can come tomorrow. So we show up, and I'm like, hey, where are these kids at, man? Like, where are they at?
Yeah.
You know,
like, what do you mean talk some shit into them? Like, yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking, I want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, oh, they're out there. And he's pointing out like to the back of his house, the backyard. And we look out the windows, and there's like 2 older dudes that were there that were like his guards that had guns, and we're like,
yeah. So you said earlier there's a river behind.
There's a river.
Okay.
There's a Tigris River is behind his house. Like
okay.
A bend of it, and we're like, where? Like, where?
Yeah.
And he's like, they're back there, and we go outside, and we're like, and you could see where they had been shot in the head, and there was blood just
like splatter.
And then they drugged the body and threw them into the Tigris. You could see
crazy,
it, and I was like, "You killed him?" He was like, "Yeah, man. They just disrespected." He's like, "That's not okay."
But then killing them is also not okay.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you can't do that, bro. Like,
yeah.
That's not how we operate. Like, I gotta talk to them. I gotta see if someone had them do that. If there's just a plane attack.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, this is how we get intelligence.
But just the humanity of it. Yeah, well, that's the humanity of it too. But man.
Yeah.
But see, that's what. How do I say this? Today's culture wouldn't understand that kind of brutality.
No, they wouldn't.
Right?
He wouldn't.
Like, that is literal. That's what my parents experienced in the Vietnam War. Like, that kind of deal. That kind of, I don't want to say evil because everything has to be put in context, but that kind of just harshness of reality, like real brutality, like the consequences of, whatever it is. That's crazy, man. Wow, what a story. So your bravery, though, with respect to saving your platoon, the grenade is what earned you the
so they gave me
the bronze.
It was my commander after that had put me in for the Bronze Star, which I got I think like 3 months later after, because I guess to go through the approval process
crazy,
and whatever.
Man.
So like halfway through my deployment, I got the Bronze Star.
That's great. So that's that. How long were you in Iraq the first time?
12 months.
Okay. Not to take away from the military, but at this time, like, do you have a family yet? Are you married?
I am. Actually, I was married at the time, and I had 2 children. I had 2 daughters.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And how was that year, bro?
Oh, dude, it was terrible. It was terrible. This is the first time. I mean, her and I, we went to high school together. We knew each other since high school. We started dating when I was in college. Got married while I was in college. We got married when I was 20 years old.
Young.
I was young. Had my first daughter, my oldest daughter, was born on my 21st birthday.
Dude, super young, bro.
I was literally.
Man, you're still wet behind the ears,
man.
We
share the same birthday.
Wow.
And so, she, we'd never spent longer than a month apart, or like 2 months apart. You and your wife, or your daughter? Me and my wife.
Okay. Or your daughter by extension.
And so, and my daughter by extension. Yeah. And so, my oldest daughter, or my youngest daughter, was born right before my deployment. She was born in November. I deployed in December.
Wow. Oh, man.
She was like 4 weeks old. So, my wife ended up or my ex-wife, sorry.
Yeah.
My ex-wife she at the time had postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And I was away, and our communication was terrible. Well,
you're focused, dialed in on war.
I'm so focused on war, and every single day I would call, and she would cry, and she'd be like, "Come home, I want you to come home." And I'm like, it can't happen. And no, it's not happening. We say that I didn't join the team, to sit on the bench, like this is it, blah blah blah. And she's like, "Come home," and every single day, and it went on, and it was probably like month 2 or 3, when one day I call her, I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm calling her like every day, and she's still crying, and I was like, you gotta suck it the fuck up.
Okay.
Like, knock this shit. And I got real stern. I was like, knock this shit off. I don't have the fucking time or the attention. Like, I can't call you every day. And like, I've been very patient with you. I'm not fucking coming home.
Yeah.
You know that's not happening.
Yeah.
Stop asking for something that's impossible.
Yeah.
Shit ain't happening.
Yeah.
Like, suck it the shit up. Like, fucking stop.
Okay.
And she was like, zip. Okay, I got it. And she just went the complete opposite end of the pendulum, and she just turned like, I don't love you. I don't want to be together. I met a new guy.
Yeah.
This, that, the other.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a very challenging deployment. She ended up cheating on me during that deployment.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, man. Ladies and gentlemen, the audience, I told you there's a story here kind of relatable to a lot of us who, you know, not in the context of military service, but, you know, these kind of life situations happen. Yeah. Could you have handled it, you know, thinking back, could you have handled that any way differently? You know, sort of what would you have done different? Like, obviously you can't, well, you could resign and ship me back home. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But that probably wasn't enough. Like, what could you have done?
You know, and knowing what I know now, right?
Yeah, of course. This is almost, you know, 15 years later.
Yeah.
And much more mature experience, life experience, all that. Okay, so yeah.
I could have done something as simple as like sending her, waking up every morning and sending her an email.
Yeah.
And go at every evening sending her an email, just keeping her, like, saying something nice or sweet, how much I miss her, stuff like that. And I could have been very loving, right?
Yeah.
Like, very understanding. And you know, when I got frustrated, it was I allowed the situation of like all these things going on around me to get mad, and I was very, like, the way I said it was how I said it, like that's
like literally that real right in your face, like raw, just like
knock it the fuck,
like suck
off.
It the fuck. Well, okay, so, but
yeah,
let's loop it back to the beginning. I mean, that's kind of how your mom was.
Yeah.
With your, hey, this house isn't right, like, get it the fuck right.
Yeah.
Right. So
the last time I got, my mom hit me, I was 17 years old, and when she hit me so hard, she knocked me to the ground. And
just like that.
Just like I was.
Well, bro, like, you're 22. I mean, that's not too far away from 17 to 22, right? Yeah. So you I guess you can only react to what your reference is to these type of situations. I'm guessing.
Yeah. So yeah, I just got frustrated, and I was like, boom, knock it off, right? And I know it's harsh, and I could have been more understanding. There's a lot of things that could have been done, and there's things that she could have done too, right?
Of course,
it's
of course. Yeah. There's always two sides. We can only
control ourselves.
That's correct.
That is it.
Yeah.
So, I think when I look back on it, you know, and I really kind of think of that time, it taught me a lot, right? It taught me, because our second deployment, our communication was way different.
Okay, so fill that gap in. You find out that when did you find out of her, you know, kind of straying?
Indiscretion.
Yeah, indiscretion.
So when I came home for mid-tour leave.
So 6 months in.
So I was at the 7th month in.
Okay.
And she's already started talking about this guy that she worked with him. Now, when I got big on my deployment. So before my deployment, I was 180 pounds.
Okay. Okay.
I came home on my mid-tour leave and I was 245 pounds. I look like a different human being. I look like I took the serum. Like
well, that's, bro. Don't tell me the top secret information here. I don't want to get you know, X'd out here knowing the secret of how you got jacked. But you're in the desert, like, I mean, you're just lifting weights. Yeah, like, you're just around dudes, bros that want to go kill people. Yeah. You're just like, dude, I can squat X. Well, let me show you. I can. You know. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
got it.
That's how it is.
MREs, whatever it is.
Yeah. It was garbage.
Just calories and weights.
Yeah, calories and weights. I ordered so much bodybuilding.com because bodybuilding.com would actually ship to the overseas. Okay. But it took like 6 weeks. So it was like a constant, like, you're planning six weeks
ahead. I need 20 buckets of protein powder, you know, got it. Okay. So, but you come back mid-deployment.
And I'm jacked.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and she was like,
what the fuck?
She even was like, I don't like you like this. Like, no.
Yeah, that's not the dude.
I was like, I'm never going back.
You're like, I can't. They gave me the serum, bro.
You can't reverse it. So,
yeah.
So, she worked on post housing.
Because she's also in the military.
She's
worked on the base. Okay, got it. Okay.
And the guy that she had met and she kept talking about, and she was like, I want you to be like him. He also worked on base. And so one of the things that she did was, on my mid-tour leave, is she decided that, like, well, if your work's important, you got to be deployed, like, my work's important. And so, like,
so tit for tat.
I'm not taking off work while you're on with her leave. And I was like, what? Her bosses made her take half days. Like, you have to at least take half days.
To hang out with your husband.
Your husband's only home for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
And so, and she'd still work half days. And it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so she brought me into work one day. And I'm all like, yeah, bring me into work. And I'm all like, I'm going to go Donkey Kong on this guy's ass.
Oh, so you already know.
I already know about this guy. She's
okay. She told you. Okay. She told you while you're in Iraq.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know anything that's happened. She just talked about him a lot.
Okay.
Way
but
too
you
much.
don't. Okay, got it.
Way too
so
much.
You're suspicion.
Like, we work out all the time, and I don't think I love you anymore. I wish you were more like this guy, and like it's just like way too much.
Got it.
And I'm like,
does that fuck you up mentally?
Yeah.
Halfway across the world.
My mom still talks about it. I sent my mom emails, and I'm like, this is what she's telling me. Like, she didn't even put this in email.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what she's saying. Like, what do I do? My mom's like, you really just gotta focus, honey. Like, focus on.
Or you're 6'7" getting sniped, like your sergeant said. Yeah.
Like, just don't get sniped.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, I ended up going to work, going to a job, and sitting there, and I go and meet this clown, and he's like 5'3".
The exact opposite.
Exact opposite.
Not what you envisioned.
And I'm just like, hi.
Shake his hand and pick him up and talk like.
I'm her husband, Greg. How's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I go to her office, and I'm sitting there, and I haven't even had a phone because I've been deployed for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So this is like during the time frame when like the iPhone was first coming out.
Yeah, oh man, that's right. Yeah.
So
there was no way to communicate like you could. No FaceTiming, none of that.
I mean, there was FaceTime, but it was Skype calls like that.
Okay, Skype. Yeah, on the laptop. That's right.
So I'm like playing with this phone, and I'm like, this is phenomenal.
This is badass.
My mind is blown.
Yeah.
And I'm like playing this phone, and she's working. I'm sitting in the office, and she keeps going in and out. And we had joint emails together, or we had each other's email addresses.
Got it. So you could see.
So we could see everything. Very transparent. Yeah. But we used to always check, and I never saw anything. But she left her computer open, and it was like, check her computer and see if she's been emailing this guy, because he's on the work server.
Yeah.
And so while she stepped out, I stepped out, and I got on her Outlook, and I just typed in his name, all his emails, and he had sent her an email like that morning.
Yeah.
And was like, I can't wait till your husband leaves so we can spend more time together.
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay.
Oh fuck no.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, but you're not. I mean, you're not mature. You're 23.
I'm like 24-ish.
Yeah, you just coming back. Yeah. Saw heavy duty. Almost got killed. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you handle this? Like, sort of like legit. How did it go down? Like,
I literally went. I left. I was walked out, and she. And as I'm getting up and walking out, she's standing in the doorway, and she's like, "No, it's not what you." And I just didn't even fucking. Just like, nope, I'm out. Yeah. And like left and just left the building, started walking. She tried to stop me, and I was like, just like I wasn't even there.
Okay.
Just ignoring everything. I walked straight because I was from that area. My battalion headquarters was like down the road.
Yeah.
And so all of the rear detachment was still there. I went straight to my battalion headquarters, and I went straight to the rear detachment. I was like, hey, send me on the next thing smoking. I want to go back now.
Wow.
I was like,
I'm out. I'm out. And
they were like, no, you can't. I was like, no, bro, I want to send back.
Out.
And so it didn't happen right away, but I ended up going back early.
Okay.
So,
so you're going back early, but this issue is not resolved.
Not resolved.
At all.
Not resolved. And so when I got back, I didn't even talk about what I saw. And she didn't even mention, she didn't try to explain everything. Nothing. And when I got back, I was like, all right, do you want a divorce? Fine.
When you got
back to Iraq.
Okay, got it.
We started communicating through email again. And I was like, all right, you want a divorce? Awesome. When I get back, we will decide how we're going to split the kids' custody. Yeah. And I will give you a divorce. That's exactly what you want. And when I checked out, when that happened, when I got back and I checked out, her whole demeanor changed. The pendulum for her swung
all the way back.
All the way back. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I love you. I don't want this. Blah, blah, blah. And she completely changed.
Okay.
And so she basically spent the rest of the appointment trying to make it up to me and trying to like re-engage me and get me back interested.
But your mind is on
my mind was
staying alive.
Yeah. And so
excuse me.
Oh no, it's fine.
How often do situations like this occur with military?
All the time.
It's like that. Really, it's like that.
Yeah, man. I'd say it's more than 60%.
That high.
Yeah. It was pretty high.
Man.
And, I mean, some people work through it. Like we worked through it. We stayed together.
Okay, but still, I mean, that's just like a mind fuck.
That stuff happens all the time. And sometimes it's worse than mine. Like
of course.
They like completely get a divorce during the deployment. Like, and they'll have like divorce papers sent
on base.
Overseas
like, to sign this. Like you've been served by whoever the military lawyers are.
Yeah.
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, fix the whole issue, or is there a way to address this? I mean, that's kind of. I mean, I get it. I think human beings have feelings, you know, and you know, I 12 months is a while to be away from, you know, newborn daughter and all these other things.
Yeah,
that's crazy, dude. So y'all try to attempt. You come back,
and I decide she wants to work things out. And I'm like, okay, let's try to work things out. She got pregnant like right away. And here's the crazy thing is that was my son, our third kid, Gregory Jr. When he was first born, I'm half Puerto Rican. My mom's Puerto Rican.
Okay.
Both my daughters, brown hair, brown eyes, dark complexion like me, or darker complexion. My ex-wife has got hazel eyes and like dirty blonde kind of hair, like kind of getting more towards brunette now as she's older. And our son is the whitest blonde hair you'll ever see and the icest blue eyes you'll ever see. And he came out like that.
From her side.
And it was, we're like, he just came out and like, even her boss was like, is that Greg's kid?
I was
like,
about to say.
The first thing he said is that Greg's?
Is he taller than 5'3" at this time, boy? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. He actually is tall.
I'm about to say, man, you sure that's the guy?
So that was always the joke. And like when you look at him, like as he's gotten older,
he's
his mannerisms and like his is very similar to mine. It's like he looks like me when I was a kid.
So you work it out, Greg Jr.
We work it out. We have Junior, and we ended up leaving Fort Hood to go to Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
Okay.
To go switch over, and I was switched to MI.
Different environment,
different job.
You feel your marriage is stable?
Yeah, I feel like marriage is getting stable.
Okay.
Working things
How did you find it to forgive?
I just shoved those feelings in a dark box inside of me, and I shoved them away, and I ignored them.
So not technically forgiving.
So the most unhealthy ways of possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just threw away the key. It was like, never think about it again.
Okay. So that is a very, how would I describe that? That's a very warrior-like way of dealing with negative feelings. Yeah. Right? Yeah. To your detriment, or did
Definitely to the detriment.
Okay. And what do you mean by that, sort of?
Well, you know, my mom told me something years later, end of 2018, after I had a really bad breakup, that it was really hard for me to get over. I was real sad. And she was like, you know, the funny thing about emotional trauma and emotional pain, there is no way around it. There is no way over it or under it or avoiding it. You can only go through it, and no matter when you go through it, like it's going.
You got to go.
You have to go through it. Like you have to deal with those emotions. There is no avoiding it.
Wow.
And she was like, "So you're just dealing with it now."
Wow.
And so I avoided it. I locked it away, and those feelings stayed there, and they stayed there and stayed there until something happened that opened that box back up. That got it to where I was like, this fucking happened.
Wow. You know? Okay. So you were in flat denial.
Yeah.
Put it away. Never happened. Almost as if it never happened.
Yeah.
Trying to rebuild your marriage and your family. Yeah. You have 3 kids. You have what you said? You had 4 kids, right?
We have 4 kids total, but at this time we only had 3.
3. Okay.
We have 3.
So you're in Arizona. Smash those feelings aside. rebuilding.
Yeah.
And then you're redeployed, or what happened?
So in Fort Huachuca is all training. That was when I trained for military intelligence, and that's where I got my human intelligence training. And I went through source training and all that. I was there for a year. I left there to go to Fort Carson. I was there at Fort Carson, and when I got there, the unit was already prepping for deployment. So I came in, went right in my position and started prepping for deployment. And we already knew where we were going, which was Afghanistan, where I knew the location. And I got there in I want to say I got there in May, and then we deployed the following March timeframe.
Okay.
So we started deploying the following February. So I wasn't even there a full year before we were boots on ground.
Wow. Okay. So your year stateside.
Yeah.
When do you have your fourth child?
So I deployed to Afghanistan. Our communication's much better. We didn't have the same issues. I come back, and when I come back, I compete for company command, which is like a coveted leadership position. This is like the pinnacle.
Elite.
Hey, you. This is when you're like the man. This is company command. Everyone dreams of this as a commander, as a captain.
Okay.
And so I competed for company command, and I competed in a couple different positions, and I ended up getting the one I wanted, which was in Fort Huachuca.
Okay.
And I went back to Fort Huachuca. I took over as HHC garrison commander, and PCS there, and which is permanent change of station, which means move. So I moved from Fort Carson to Fort Huachuca in April of 2013 after my deployment.
Your whole family moves. Okay.
And I took over command in May, the following month, in May of 2013. And so in 2013, at the end of 2013 is when while I was in command, was when we got pregnant with my fourth. And I didn't even, to be honest, I did not want another. Don't get me wrong, I love my son Grayson. He's the fucking funniest. He really is fucking funny.
Yeah, usually it's the last one, bro. You're the last child.
He's just a funny little dude. And he's got so much confidence.
Yeah.
It's stupid how much confidence. It doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't come from dad or anything, does it?
No, not at all.
Okay, so
anywho, so she one day I come home from work and she's like, I got a surprise. And we had talked about having our kid, and I was like, no. I only wanted a boy and a girl. We got 2 girls, we got 1 boy. I was afraid I was gonna have 3 girls and be cursed. Yeah. You know, and I'm good. We're good.
Yeah.
I got my girl, I got my boy, I got my junior, we're good. Great
career's going, I'm new top dog.
Let's do this.
Let's go.
So one day I come home from work and she's like, hey, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, oh man. I'm thinking she got like a handle of Jack, and I'm like, we're about to have a good night. Yeah. And I go in there and I'm looking, I'm like, where's the Jack? Where's the Jack? Because Jack was my drink of choice. I always like to drink a handle. And so I'm looking around and I look down and I see
the pregnancy
test, and it's positive. And I'm like, and I literally looked at it and went, fuck.
Like, for real?
Really?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I wasn't ready or I just felt I wasn't ready. I felt like
never ready, man.
Yeah. I was just like, man, a 4th, like, geez, like that's so much. Like we're gonna have a whole basketball team soon. What is wrong with us?
Yeah, what's going on? So you're new CEO, you're the top dog at this new company. Yeah. You find out you're pregnant. Let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, anything remarkable? That's where you earned your
I got a second bronze medal. Yeah. There was nothing. I mean, there was a lot of cool missions. I did a lot of interrogations there.
Okay.
I saw the difference between Afghans and Iraqis. Iraqis have a sense of national pride. Like they know they're Iraqis. Now, everyone has like ways that they identify themselves. So you may say like, I am the child of refugee parents. Yeah. And like you identify that, but maybe that's like low in the totem pole.
Yeah.
I'm a father. I'm an American.
Yeah.
I'm a husband. I'm an entrepreneur. These are all these things that you identify yourself, and you rack and stack them internally with what's most important to you. Everyone kind of does.
Yes.
Iraqis are like, I'm an Iraqi, but they may be Sunni, they may be Shia, they may be whatever other tribe that they are. Their family name, whatever they do as a profession, like, but their national identity is within that rank order. Like they understand they're from Iraq, right?
Got it.
Not the same with most Afghan people. They're fucking cave people.
That's harsh, man. It's like that.
It's that bad.
Really?
It's really bad. Like they're like fucking cave people.
Like just not no value system.
No value system. They don't care.
We're talking a decade ago, but
yeah, it was just bad. Like I remember having this source that I was talking to, and he was talking.
A source meaning informant, asset, so to speak.
And we're having this conversation, and he's telling me about his neighbor's home burning down, and I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Well, what happened? He was like, I don't know.
Just burned down.
Just burned down. I was like, did you do anything about it? He was like, no. Why would I do that? I was like, I don't know. It's your neighbor.
Because he's your neighbor.
Wasn't my house.
Like literally, it's like that.
He like it never dawned on him. He just didn't care. And like I had more, and that's just one conversation, but I had a lot of conversations like that where they had no sense of like national pride. They have no sense of like helping each other. It was just intrinsically like
all about selfishly
motivated. Just them.
Wow.
And so
I'm sure that made it a lot more difficult or challenging to carry out whatever missions you're.
It made it difficult and challenging to have conversations with people that were like that were doing some terrible shit, and you had to pretend to be friends with them. But it made it easy to manipulate them to get what you wanted because they were very selfishly motivated.
Got it.
So
got it.
To dangle something that they wanted and to find out what they wanted was easy.
Yeah.
And to dangle that in order to get them to get information and put themselves in harm's way to get that information was not hard.
Wow.
So
I think that context of war and conflict and cultural differences is not readily apparent to the lay person, not experienced in military tactics or war or whatever. It's just, it's just the Afghan war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's just the Iraqi war. It's just across the country, across the world. I don't really need to pay attention to that. But then hearing this, it's like, what a challenge war is, and how basically it drills down to the basics of humanity, like
it does,
humanism, like really does. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. So you earn your second bronze award, come back, and then all this happens, and so then are you still motivated to go as far as you can get in the military, or you're kind of like, you're how many years in at this point?
This is in when I get
14,
back,
15-ish.
I'm 2013, 2014, so I'm getting close to 10 years.
10 years in service.
I'm like 8 years in, so okay. I'm actually getting close to I'm like a senior captain.
Okay.
And I'm getting close to where I'm going to be looked at for being a major.
Which is huge.
Yeah, that's where you get to field grade level.
Okay. So, and then at this point, does it turn south?
Yeah.
Your trajectory turns south. Like talk about that, sort of that kind of those moments. Like what leads to these emotions that you've bottled away now for several years to explode out?
So I went in February of 2014, a very dear friend of mine growing up, like a close family friend. Him and I grew up together. We lived on the same street. Like we used to play together and knew each other since I was born. Yeah. Or since he was born. He was like a year younger than me or something. And his mom and my mom were really, really close. And he was a small kid. Like even as an adult, he was like 5 foot. He looked like Frankie Muniz. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He looked like that.
What's that show?
Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes, Malcolm in the Middle.
That's what he looked like. He literally looked like that kid. And he was a little shit talker. He was actually a big shit talker. He was that guy that would be like talk massive shit.
Because he's little.
Yeah. And it's like, what are you going to do? You pick on the small guy?
Like the Chihuahua, the loudest barking dog. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And he went to a bar one night and he saw somebody yelling at their girlfriend or something, like this big guy yelling at their girlfriend, and he went over and started talking shit. Like, oh, you gonna pick on your girl? You gonna pick on little people too? You gonna pick on me too? And that guy beat the shit out of him.
Wow.
He ended up having a concussion, and he died in his sleep.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, my mom called me. It was just like, Cody died, and I was like,
what?
And I was like, Cody? She's like, yeah. And I was like, what happened? She tells me. And I was just like, I got to come home for the funeral. Like, I have to be there, see the family.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it hit me in such a shock. And so I decided to fly home for the funeral. So I called my commander who's above me, and said, hey, sir, I need to take leave, emergency leave. I'm going to go to this funeral. It's literally in 2 days from now. Are you okay with it? And he was like, yeah, don't even do the paperwork. Just go. Yeah. Right. And so I had to go get some more work done to make sure that I was good for those days I was going to be missing. It was only like 2 days. So I told my ex-wife, like, hey, can you schedule up the flights and everything? And she did. So I left early in the morning, and I got to the airport, and I'm looking for the flight confirmations, and she sent it to her email. So instead of like our joint email, like I had an email, then we had like a joint email, and then she had an email, but she always used her email just like naturally. So I'm scrolling through, and I'm just like scrolling, and I stopped on something, and I saw something as I was scrolling through, and it was the name of the guy that she had cheated me on.
Way back when.
Your
first appointment. Oh shit.
And he had been keeping in touch with her
the entire time,
every year, just to see if she was still with him or still with me.
Wow.
And she was entertaining these conversations, and something inside of me just fucking
snapped.
And I was like, nah, I'm not okay with this.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, I don't know.
I'm not okay with this. And I went, and then I go to this funeral, this emotionally charged event. You know, my childhood friend, like one of my best friends.
Yeah, it's like a brother.
Passing away. He was young. He was like in his mid-20s. You know,
doing the noble thing, standing up for a female getting harassed.
Yeah, and I come back, and I'm like, and there was another female that I worked with. She was a JAG officer, and she straight flirted with me. She did not hide it. Now, she was just and I just kind of ignored it.
Yeah.
And I came back, and I was just like, and I flirted just a little bit back, and she just pounced on it. And she was like, hey, look, I like you. I know you're married. I don't care. I just want to fuck. And I was like,
jeez, bro.
Okay. And I had an affair.
Yeah.
For about 4 weeks with this woman.
Do you think... Man, there's a lot to unpack there, because, man, you're at the lowest of the low emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Because your best friend died. You're shocked at this new information where this revelation that, hey, we thought that was in the past. We thought we rebuilt this.
Yeah.
We thought we're good. You're about to have your fourth.
Yeah.
And again, not to diminish 20-something years old, but I'm
still I'm in my late 20s now.
Yeah, but your maturity at 20s is not the same maturity as you are now in your 30s and so on. So you're
I'm actually that was the year I turned 30. I was 29 when it happened.
Got it. But that's a lot to in a 1 day span to get all that, and you get back 2 day span and you come back. Was it a whole fuck it mentality, or was it a, hey, she fucked me over, so?
It was more of a fuck it. Like, you know what? She didn't give a shit. Why should I?
Got it.
And I remember when I did the first flirt, it was a very like half-assed. It was like
not even serious.
But she just kept it going, and it was like, and then it was like, dude, she really likes me. She was cute too. She was really attractive.
Yeah.
So she just kept going, kept going. And so I was like it was easy just to get sucked in like gravity, just kind of fall into it. And the whole time I'm just like, fuck it, she did it to me. Fuck it, she did it to me. And I was making these sorry ass excuses in my head, and I was creating this acceptance of
a justification
of me being a shitty person, because I felt that she was a shitty person to me, even though we obviously moved past it. She was pregnant with she was like my fourth child that she was pregnant with at the time. He was due to be born the next month.
Oh wow.
He was born in March 2014.
Yeah.
And like, so she's pregnant with our fourth. We've had 2 more kids since that time frame. And I'm just like, nah, that's okay. Like, just real shitty.
Yeah.
So
obviously in retrospect, not the right thing to do.
Obviously.
Man, so this last 4 weeks, like, sort of like, what happens, bro? Like, legit.
Yeah, she had.
Did you reveal this? Like, did you say, "Hey, listen"?
I did. I eventually revealed it to my ex-wife.
Okay.
So she actually, the girl that I had the affair with, she broke it off because she started developing feelings.
Yeah.
And she was basically like, I want you to leave your wife. And I was like, that ain't happening.
No.
I'm not leaving my kids.
Yeah.
I got 4 kids, man. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
And it was not happening. It was just like, not happening, you know?
Okay.
And she was like, well, I'm getting too close. Like, I really like you now. Yeah. And I think we need to like call it off, you know? And I was like, all right, I understand. Like, it was really just for me, it was like, don't get me wrong, I really want to keep doing it, but
but that's not you. In a sense, that's not you. No. So a lot of times not a lot of times, there's a sense of justification being, well, that's not really me.
Yeah.
You know, I my standards are too high. I would never do something like that. Mm-hmm. That wasn't really me. Like, was it really you, or like sort of what is that mind? You know,
that's a good question. To be honest, it's not me. And it was acting out of alignment. And I think that's why I was very depressed, right?
Okay.
I had a lot of PTSD from things. My mom told me all the time, like from when I came home from Iraq. The first deployment. Time, she was like, you're different. You're not the same. You really need to get seen. I'm like, whatever. I'm fine. I'll be all right. And she's like, nope, you're just masking shit. So I think that on top of like the pain or like the me hiding away I felt abandoned, right? I felt like on my first point, I felt abandoned by the woman that was supposed to love me unconditionally. That was my wife.
Yeah.
You know, I felt very alone.
Who you've known since high school.
Yeah. And I just felt, and it created this kind of like this void within me that I tried to hide, but it was always there. And it was just waiting to kind of surface and emerge.
Yeah.
And it created this like insatiable need to feel wanted.
Okay.
To feel important. To feel
the
loved,
attention.
The love, all that. And
so looking for external validation.
Yes.
For whatever reason.
Whatever reason.
And how bad did it get? Like,
really bad.
Like,
that's just
okay.
Really bad.
Now you've opened up something. Okay, let's you know, to the extent you want to get to there, like sort of how bad. I mean, how depressed, you know.
After, you know, that caused our divorce. Okay. Because I ended up having guilt over it, and I was just like, I was acting out. Like, it was almost, and it's hard to talk about. It's hard to even describe, but like, I can see how when somebody's guilty, how they end up like actually like turning themselves in or doing actions that get them caught. Because you subconsciously want to get it out of your system. You want to get it out. It's like getting bile out of your body. Yeah. It's like you got to get rid of it. And so I just had these moments where I would just be so angry and I couldn't at myself, and I'm just irrational. And then she's trying to be like, everything okay? And I'm just like, and she tries to like touch me. I'm like, don't fucking touch me. Like, I'm a fucking terrible person. Like, she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm freaking out. Yeah. And finally it got to the point where I had to tell her, and I admitted to her. Yeah. And so we had this really just weird moment where we got really raw with each other. Yeah. And I told her, and I was just like hyperventilating, and I told her, and it was like, told her it was just like this freeing weight. I was like, whoa. Okay, I was about to say, were you hyperventilating because the heat of the moment, or you got this enormous weight off your conscious? Weight off my conscious. Off your spirit almost. Like, but I was also so scared that I'm like, she's going to murder me, right? Yeah. And she just looks at me and she was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank you. She was like, I cheated on you too. What? A second time? No, she didn't know that I actually knew. Oh, one. Got it. So she like, oh, thank God. I cheated on you too. Wow. And I was like, I know. That's why I did it. Right. Wow. And then we just like kind of connected, and it was like, we can work through this.
That's
right?
a connection in the weirdest way,
in the weirdest way.
Like common ground because y'all
we both did it
and messed around on each other. Yeah.
And so we started to go to counseling, but it didn't really work, and we did not really attempt it very hard, to be honest. And so she was like, she wanted to know all these answers to all these questions, and I told her, I was like, I'll tell you whatever you want to know, out of just to be transparent, just to full transparency and honesty. However, I don't think you want to know a lot of stuff, so like, I would curate what you ask.
Yeah.
She started asking some really in-depth questions, like how did it feel, and what did you like, and what positions did you do, how many times, and like yada yada, like really digging in. And it was like that girl was stealing her soul, like Goggins style, right?
Wow.
That girl was like all up in her head all day long, and rent free. And it got to the point where she started to get violent with me. Like she would like hit me, and she would lash out, and I would be like, whoa, you did it to me too. And she was like, yeah, but it was years ago, and you did it just now. Like it's different. And I'm like, no, I've been living with this for years. So like, you just started living with it. So I disagree.
Yes.
Like to me, that's a model
here.
Yeah. And so it came to a head. She actually I woke up in the middle of the night, because she would wake up in the middle of the night and she would have a dream or nightmare, and she would wake me up screaming and like hitting me.
Yeah.
I started having PTSD about this. I was like, I couldn't go to sleep because I would like freak out, because if there was a movement, it was like she was going to wake me up, which would freak me out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so she woke me up one morning by taking one of my boots, and she chucked it at me and it landed right on my face. Like the boot sole landed right on my face, and I just like jumped out of bed. And I was like, "What the fuck? What's going?" Like like. And she's standing on the other edge of the room. She's just like looking at me with like fire in her eyes, and she was like, "How many times did you really fuck her?"
Oh like, gosh, man! I would imagine like I just. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's just.
It was bad.
Yeah.
And I felt so much anger in that moment that I was like, I have to leave. I have to get out of here. So I ended up packing a bag, and I went to a hotel like that night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't be. I'm so angry right now.
Yeah.
I cannot even see straight.
Yeah.
Like you fucking woke me up with throwing a boot in my face. So I packed all my stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna stay. And then I ended up getting into the my company has barracks for soldiers, so I ended up getting in a barracks room. And at this time, I was no longer in command. I was still in the same company, but I'd already transitioned out of command. And I was in a course actually, and so I'm in this course, and I end up connecting with another student. That's another captain that. She realizes that I'm going through this tough time, and so her and I just start talking a lot and start connecting. She's just really there for me. And at the
that
same
attention
time,
that had been missing, right?
It's starting. It's
feeding in again. Okay,
it's kicking in, and so we start just emailing back and forth. My ex-wife and I were just emailing back and forth, and she's basically like, like I want you to just worship me and like worship the ground I walk on, and the sun rises and falls with me, and blah blah blah, and you love me so much, and blah blah blah. Like, I want us to get there. And I'm like, we've never been that from day one. The only reason that we were always together, and like because we were just effective together. We had same styles of parenting, like we're good at what we do, like we handle shit. Right?
Functionally, we're
very functional.
Yeah,
like super functional, highly functional.
Yeah.
But the whole like worshiping each other,
romanticized version of functional.
We've never been that, and I'm gonna be honest. Like I obviously, like she wanted me to leave you to go be with her, and I didn't, because I didn't want to leave you.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for me to be something that I'm not, I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the turning point where she was like, I think we need to separate, and I was like, I think so too.
Okay.
And so we started our separation process, and it was rocky. It was back and forth. She wanted to get back together. She didn't. She wanted to get back together. She didn't. And I was the whole time, I'm like, no. And
how are the kids through this?
Dude, that was probably the most depressing thing is she took the kids. She left, and she took the kids back home to Tennessee, where we're from.
Got it.
And she ended up staying with my sister.
Got it.
And man, I was so used to having my kids every day. Coming home from work, playing, laughing.
That's tough. Daddy. That's tough, man. Because I'm divorced, and
that's the most depressing.
That's tough.
That's the most depressing feeling in the world, bro.
That's tough. Yeah, it is. as a man, I'm not sure for everything, but as a father, that's tough. It's tough. But, ladies and gentlemen, man, I told you at the beginning, this is a very relatable story. Take away the military side, but a very relatable story for a lot of you. And so we'll get to it, but there's a huge, massive upswing from this. But let's...
Oh, there's more fall.
There's more. Okay, let's get into that, man.
I'm actually like grasping on the edge of the gorge. I'm about to just let go.
Okay, yeah. So how bad does it get, man?
So I start dating this girl that was paying me attention, and here's the thing: is that, and I realized this. It took several years to realize that. I'll kind of almost go to the end, not really, but kind of. I realized that from the time that I was dating my ex-wife all the way through to basically to like the end of 2020, every single person I had been with, every single breakup I had been with, like literally, like my ex-wife left, and then we started talking romantically, like literally the next day. Boom.
Somebody new.
Her and I break up. I met my next girlfriend at a bar, literally the next night.
Day.
Boom. Her and I break up. I start talking to the next girl like that night. Boom.
Sounds like a pattern, bro.
It was a bad pattern, and it was constantly, I was filling that void of like loneliness and needing affection, needing to feel wanted, to feel loved, to feel important, right?
Yeah.
And because I wasn't happy with myself, because I had fucked up, and I was a piece of shit, and I didn't want to be alone in my thoughts.
It's so like that.
Yeah.
From
knowing what I know now.
Yeah. So the fuck up of having messed around.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
So you're carrying this.
I'm carrying this.
You're carrying this entire time.
And all along the way, I'm still doing fucked up shit, by the way. Like, I'm just like I'm not a womanizer, but I was a womanizer. Like, I would be like, and what I was really doing.
So again, this wasn't you, but it
wasn't me. And
it is you in fact, but
yes.
It's not the true
version
Greg of you inside, spiritually, soulfully.
Exactly.
So you're fucking around, for lack of a better term.
I'm fucking around, yeah. And I'm not fucking around to fuck around. I'm fucking around because I'm like, I'm going out to all the wrong places to basically try to find love, and moving way too fast, sleeping with them, and then being like, no, this isn't love. This isn't the person. I don't feel the connection, and then leaving. And like,
only to find the next one.
Only to find the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And so, and anyone that I felt even remotely a connection, I'm like, good enough. And so I'm like,
you're diving into things way quick.
Way too quick. So I dive in with this girl that in the military, who's also in the military, who we get very, very close, very connected. We're together on and off through several years, while it was the remainder of my military career, until I got out of the military. And literally right before I got out of the military is when we broke up, because she wanted to stay in, I was getting out.
Yeah.
And she...
So conscious decision to leave the military.
Conscious decision. Well, okay. No, it's not. Actually.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
No. The other thing that happened was, in the military, adultery is punishable by jail time.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know that. I bet you that's a fact a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, it's punishable.
Or rule.
Adultery it's under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ. And
is it enforced a lot?
No.
Oh, I'm about to say, because
it's like never enforced.
Yeah, I was about to say.
A lot of people
Yeah.
In fact, it's ignored most of the time.
Okay.
So my ex-wife, when we divorced, she threatened that if I didn't stay with her, she would blow up, and she'd be like, "Stay with me. You need to fucking make this work." And I'm like, no, we've already separated. You're in Tennessee. I've already signed divorce papers.
Yeah.
They're on the docket. She's like, I've already pulled them from the docket. The judge isn't going to see him. Like, we're staying together. And I'm like, you already paid for the lawyer. Like, she paid with my money. Like, no. I signed everything.
Yeah.
And she would threaten me and say, if you don't stay with me, I'm reporting you to your command for adultery, and I'm sending them all of our email traffic where we've talked about it. And I'm like, well, fuck me. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't do that. Like, I've known her since high school.
Yeah.
You're just threatening me. And by the way, like, if I did say yes, then I'm staying with you
for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reason. Like, it's not because I love you.
Yeah.
It's because
you're being threatened. Yeah.
So no, right? And then I would reason with her, and I'd talk to her, and then she'd talk her off the ledge, and she'd come down, and we'd be good. So this goes on from this conversation, this argument, kind of threatening back and forth, goes on months and months and months, until finally March of 2015, when she finally puts it back on the docket, the judge signs off, and it's finalized. And in June of that year, I went to Japan. I went and I got my passport for the first time because the girl I was talking to, she actually PCS'd and she was stationed in Japan, and I wanted to go see her. So as soon as the
divorce paper signed, move on to the next, fill the void again.
I literally flew out to Japan, and she was so pissed off. And in June, she reported me.
Oh wow!
Which started an entire investigation, and that felt like she had stabbed me in the person. I never believed she would. I was like, there's no, if you told me then that it was going to happen, and if I would have, my future self would be like, yo, bro, it's going to happen. You better prepare yourself. Storm's coming. Like,
fuck off, future self.
Yeah. Nah, man. Amanda would never do that. She'd never.
Wow.
So wrong.
But the divorce is already finalized. There's no.
Divorce is already finalized.
Spite?
But it was out of spite. It was out of spite. So, you know, if that wouldn't have happened, I'd probably still be in the military.
To this day.
Yeah. And what happened was they did an investigation, and when they investigated, she said I had done it with multiple. Or she said I'd done it with multiple women, and because they couldn't get anything except for the email traffic back and forth with the woman that I had talked about. She happened to be a lawyer on the post, so every single case that she had touched would have been tainted.
Got it.
And they did not want to prosecute. So they basically was like, oh, it was one of her Amanda's one of her friends or something that came in.
It's almost not that she was how did I say? It'd be a prosecutor that would be.
Yeah, she was a prosecutor.
Got it.
So
Man,
it was real. It was real touchy.
That's legit. Now, what is this jail like? Describe what you were facing jail-wise.
So basically,
like a year in jail.
It's 12 months. It was
12 months. Okay.
12 months in Leavenworth.
Okay.
It worse.
Like Leavenworth. Oh shit.
Yeah. Man. So it was and that's worst case, which doesn't happen. By
the way. Well,
for an officer, really, it's just they kick you out. They give you.
But dishonorable.
Yeah. So they
which carries a whole another set of things, right? Can't own a gun. Can't do a lot of things.
Exactly. So what happens eventually is I actually took the stand, which I had to go to a board, where the board came in and made a decision on all the facts. It was 2 days. It was basically like a court case, like a trial. And my lawyer's like, how do you want to handle this? I was like, I want to take a stand. I want to tell my story. I want to tell everything. I told everything.
Everything we talked about.
I told everything. And I was like, I did cheat on it, but they tried to charge me for somebody else. They didn't have any proof, but I did admit doing it with the person I did, which was the lawyer, and everybody freaked out. And so they couldn't.
Couldn't go past.
They couldn't go past that point. So what they ended up doing is they just gave me what's called a GOMAR, which is a General Officer Memorandum of Record, or reprimand.
Yeah. Okay.
It's basically
an infraction. Just there.
Hey,
here's a little bit more than a warning, a little bit less than a prosecution.
Yeah. Right, okay. It's like a letter, you did bad.
Yeah.
And this is a permanent record saying you did bad.
Yeah.
Boom.
On your way. Peace of mind, though.
Yeah. So at the time, the military was doing officer reduction boards because there was too many officers in the entire military. So they were saying sayonara to any officer that had bad OERs of officer evaluation reports or GOMARs.
Got it.
So they planned it just right where they gave me a GOMAR and then they put me through an officer evaluation board and they were like, hey,
take off.
You have this in your record. You're basically even though I've been selected for major, I'd already been selected for major. Even though you've been selected for major, you'll never get lieutenant colonel. With this in your record, you will never have lieutenant colonel.
Got it. You're capped.
So there's no sense in keeping you here. We're going to release you. And I did not get a dishonorable. So I got a general honorable.
But the crazy thing is, it's not even based on service.
No.
It's based on something entirely unrelated to military service.
Hey man,
but it's the rules.
How you do one thing's how you do one things.
That's also very true.
So
it's also very true. So you leave the military.
I leave the military. And the girl I was with, we broke up because I'm leaving and she's staying, and we were like, not gonna work out.
Still empty.
It's
almost self-sabotage.
Oh, it is.
In a major way.
Yeah.
Like how bad is
it's definitely
the sabotage.
It's really bad. So I talked to a therapist, and I started talking to therapists circa. Well, actually, while about the time that Amanda, my ex-wife, she reported me, it felt, I mean, I felt like she stabbed me. I was like
physically
physically
manifested this whole.
I was like, she never would have done it. Like, what no, I know this person, and it felt like such a betrayal. I became so depressed.
Okay. How depressed?
Like I just spiraled. And that was when my suicidal ideation started to manifest.
Okay, well, it's the first time you're talking suicide, man.
Yeah.
Like what? Like legit.
Like legit.
Like gun in hand. Like no, I'm about to do this, or
like my kids. I'm all alone. My kids aren't here. I got nobody to love me. You know, the woman that I'm trying to talk to, she's in Japan.
You're blowing through all these superficial,
just bullshit relationships, right? And she and the woman that I've known my entire life, that we have 4 kids
just stabbed
together,
you in the back. So
just did this. Like nobody cares about me. My kids aren't here, and it just, these thoughts started to spiral and get worse and worse and worse, and it went from that to, you know, they like, no one would care if I wasn't even here. To how could I like do this without the cleanest, most efficient way possible, to like Googling ways that I could commit suicide, and like how many pills I had to take, of what kind of pill, and like if they could pump my stomach, and like what would happen. I started Googling this stuff, and it was just like a constant spiral where one thought led to the next, and it was a very easy transition to get worse and worse and worse. Wow. And it was like gravity. It's like just falling into it. And that was the first time I started to feel that way. And it was, it was self-inflicted. But at the time, I felt so betrayed and hurt and alone.
Got it. So you're still living outside yourself. Like you're not facing the demons.
I'm not facing the demons
at all.
No, it's all her fault. I can't believe she did this. Blah, blah, blah. Like she is so terrible. But then, like, she must hate me. Like, why does she hate me? Like, why?
My kids. What do my kids think about me? Like, She's saying this about me. How are you going day by day? Like, how do you, in that mindset?
Oh, dude, I was drinking every day. Every day I was drinking.
Like how? Heavily. Like bad is bad. Like
I mean, I went to work just to function.
Got it.
And I was like in and out of work. Like I
didn't care.
And I was a high performer.
Well, what were you doing after the military?
Well, I didn't even have a plan.
Did you have a job? No job.
No, so when I first got out, I ended up getting a job with public storage with a buddy of mine that was in the military.
Got it.
And didn't keep that long. Didn't like it.
Didn't care.
Ended up quitting.
So how do you, just take me in that mindset, because obviously you got to look in the mirror every day, brush your teeth, whatever, shave, but you're feeling this. How do you even look yourself eye to eye in the mirror?
No, I'm not.
Or you're avoiding looking at yourself.
I'm not even acknowledging it. I'm just like, I'm shoving it down deep in that box, and I'm locking that bitch, and like, it's not me, like, and I'm pushing away, and I'm trying to focus on other things. And I'm like, all right, well, control the controllables. Okay, well, I'm not going to be in the military. Basically, I could see the writing on the wall. I need to start preparing for getting out. Okay, hey, well, I'm going to focus all my time, and I'm going to do this relationship with this person right. Like, I'm going to just focus everything on her, and like love her, and this, that, the other, and like really like lift her up, and like she's the one, and like just like really trying to do those big romantic gestures. You know, like she lived in Japan, and so what I did is every single day, I wrote her a card, a handwritten card, and I mailed her a card every single day for the entire time that she was in Japan. Yeah,
okay, so most women would find that appealing.
Yeah.
But
she loved it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, but you were doing this out of,
because I felt like, well, I fucked up my marriage, and
let me make it up.
She actually seems like she might love me. Like I had to like this big romantic gesture, and like
all or nothing.
Attached to her.
It's all in. I'm all in.
All in. And
so what is rock bottom? Like, you know, most people don't turn it around until it's rock bottom. So like alcoholics, you know, that kind of deal.
So her and I end up breaking up. And the next night I go out to the bar, and I just found out I got my date for getting out of the military.
Okay.
Got my date.
This is the end of your military career.
3 weeks. It's like in 3 weeks.
Got it.
So this is like in April, and my last day of the military was like the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay.
So I go out to the bar, this shit bar, middle of nowhere, and I end up meeting this girl. I see
another one. Same day this other girl breaks up with you.
Basically,
yeah. Okay.
And her and I lock eyes for a second. I look back, and she's still looking at me, and I'm like, "Damn, she's like gorgeous young woman."
Yeah.
And I sit down at the bar, and my buddy's with me, my buddy Kevin. I'm like, "Dude, go check out that girl outside. She's like really pretty, right?" And he's like, "No, dude, she's hot." So we played some darts, and then we sat down, and we purposely sat down the bar next to her, and we're sitting there talking loudly, and we purposely like kind of joined the conversation. Got it? Like, what do you guys think about this?
Well, what normal guys do, generally speaking.
Yeah. So, which I wasn't a big person. I don't really do that much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like hit on people in bars, and so if they like look at me, if it's like very overt, I'll just go up and say, "Hi, my name's Greg." Hey, my name's Greg. What's up? But we connected, and so we ended up hanging out all night. And she was like, "I swear you got to be married," And I was like, "No." And so she actually took me home because my buddies left me. I don't know where they went.
No wingman, man.
But they like left me, and I was like, "Where are my friends at? I can't even find them." So she ended up driving me home, and I was like, "You're more than welcome to come in my house, and you can see it's as bachelor pad as it gets."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was like, "No. Maybe we'll talk tomorrow." Right. So we ended up connecting. And this is like my last 3 weeks. So we end up spending 3 weeks together, and it's a nice escape because I just broke up with my last girlfriend that I've been writing letters to every day. And I'm all like, "I love you," and now I actually get to be in the physical presence with a woman and be intimate with a woman. So I'm like, this is great, and I'm gonna be leaving anyways. Why not? So I end up leaving and coming to Dallas, or going to Dallas. And when I get to Dallas, her and I kind of stay in contact. And I'm like, "Hey, really kind of miss you a little bit.
Yeah.
It was fun to spend time with you." She's like, "I miss you too." She had a daughter. And she was like, "Should I come and stay with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So she literally like
picked up.
She packed all of her stuff. She got a U-Haul, and she drove from Arizona to Texas, and she moved in.
Huh.
And we had been with each other for 4 weeks.
Wow.
Max.
Wow.
And I became daddy for her baby girl.
Wow.
Out of nowhere, because her dad was not in her life.
Yeah.
And I was very, very depressed at the first start.
Are you recognizing you're depressed, or
Yes.
this is in retrospect you're depressed?
No, I was recognizing I was depressed because I truly missed the previous girlfriend that I wrote letters to every day, that I felt I had devoted myself to. I really missed her, and I was just like, "This isn't right. This feels wrong." Like this was a long fling gone on too long.
Yeah.
This was a long fling gone on too long. This is not right. I feel wrong. This is weird. Everything under the sun. And I got to a point where I was talking to my buddy Kevin, who's really close to me. He actually works with me now. I was telling him this like every day. And I could not escape it, I felt.
Yeah.
And so this ended up causing fights, and her and I just fought, just bickered like cats and dogs, really bad. And the bickering and fighting came to a head in May 2018, and this was rock bottom. Was in May of 2018.
Yeah.
We had gotten into a fight about the dumbest thing ever. It was really, really fucking stupid. And she had got her breast done. I paid to get her breast done. Yeah. And her doctor gave her the wrong pain medication. He did not give her the narcotics.
Yeah.
It was basically like 800 milligram ibuprofen.
Wow, not even close to.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
And she was like in a lot of pain. She was really pissed off about it. He fixed it. Like he fixed it like within 12 hours.
Yeah.
And he apologized. And so this is like days later. We're driving to breakfast. She's finally feeling good enough to get out of bed. And she's talking about suing the doctor. And I'm like, why would you do that? It was a simple mistake. It wasn't malicious.
Yeah.
Right. And she was like, well, my mom says, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, that's stupid. That doesn't even make sense. Like that's just negativity. You shouldn't like even entertain that. And she got so mad. She flipped out and And she just flips out on me. She's like, fuck you. I'm done. I'm tired of your ass. And it was like a fucking pendulum. It didn't even make sense. So we go home. I just turn around. Don't even go to get breakfast. Turn around and go home. And I go straight. It's like 10:30 in the morning. I go straight to the kitchen and I start drinking. I drink all day. And I'm in insurance now.
Yeah.
I'd already started insurance.
Yeah.
She goes upstairs, locks herself in the room, won't talk to me. And she's like, fuck you, I'm out. And so I'm all like, my life's over. Like, fuck this. Like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Let's drink, glug, 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 glug. And it gets like, I'm like literally all day drinking and talking to my friends, and talking to Kevin, like
talking shit. Fucking shit. Yeah.
And so it gets later in the evening. It's like at 5 o'clock. I have an appointment. I had an insurance appointment, and I maybe like 4 o'clock. I'm like, well, I gotta get ready for my appointment, and I'm pretty buzzed. I'm like,
You're fucked up.
I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
But I'm like a functional fucked up because I've been drinking a lot.
Yeah.
So I go upstairs and I start getting changed, and she's like, whoa, where are you going? I was like, I got an appointment, and she's like, you're not going anywhere. And I'm like, no, I'm going somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? And she's like, you're not going anywhere. And I'm like, she's like, no, I'll take you. And I'm like, no, you don't love me. You don't love me. You said you hate me. Like, I'm just being fucking belligerent. And so she's like trying to calm me down. And I'm like, in a drunken state, obviously, trying to explain to her how much it hurts and how I have like this abandonment issue with everything that's going on. And like, I'm trying to explain to her and how the whole like suicidal ideations even began. And like, I'm trying to talk.
You're trying to unravel this.
I'm trying to like explain it to her and be like vulnerable, right? Obviously in a drunk state too. And I can see as I'm telling her that her face is just like doesn't give a shit. It's like she starts to go deadpan. And as I'm telling her this and like kind of pouring my heart out, she finally just like, oh my God, would you just go slit your wrists already?
Wow.
And and something inside of me was just like,
click.
That's it. That was the sign, Greg.
Yeah.
That was the sign. And I just stopped talking and I looked at her and it kind of clicked with me and I was like, okay. And I walked very slowly, methodically walked to my closet, opened up the closet, grabbed my gun case, pulled it out, put it on the bed, unlocked it, like all very slowly.
Yeah.
And she's yelling at me now. She's like, what are you doing? Stop. Just, open up, grab my gun. I got like it's like one of those loop.
Yeah.
Goes through.
Safeties, yeah.
Safety. So I'm like unlocking that, taking it out, and she's like, I'm calling the cops. So she calls 911. And she runs out of the room and she goes into the room with her daughter. She's across the other side of the house or the other side of the upstairs. And her daughter's watching TV. Bolivia style this.
Yeah.
And she locks the door and I can hear her. I can hear she's got the 911 operator on speaker. And I loaded the gun and I'm thinking, you wanted me to kill myself? You're going to fucking watch this.
Wow.
And I walked over the door and I could hear him. And I literally just pushed on the door and like really hard and open it because she had locked it. And I went to go open, she could, it was locked. And she starts screaming and I'm like, this is what you wanted? This is what you wanted?
And it's loaded, chamber.
Loaded, chambered, everything. And I could hear her screaming and her daughter started screaming. And like there was something that just stopped it. And the 911 operator's like, are you in danger? Are you in danger?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you can hear this.
And I can hear everything. And there's something, and it clicks in me that I'm like, she thinks, like, they're like cowering. And it's like, you think I'm going to hurt you. I just want to kill myself.
Wow.
And I was like, no, this, like, and I just kind of, I stopped for a second enough to like, I put the gun down and I walked downstairs and I went outside. And I was like, I don't need to like terrorize this little girl, but I don't want to be here.
Wow, dude.
And so I went outside and I sat inside and I called my buddy, Kevin. And I said, hey, man, this is it. This is it, bro. And he was like, dude, don't do it. Don't do it. And as I'm talking to him, police cars and sirens are showing up. And it was like car after car after car. And it was like 10 cars show up in my house.
It's like a domestic situation, bro.
With a weapon.
Yeah.
And they get on a loudspeaker and they're like, Gregory Birch, come out with your hands up. Put the weapon down. And I'm like, you hear that? They're calling for me, bro. And I'm like, I can't go out. Like, I can't do this. He's like, dude, you haven't done anything yet. You haven't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Put the gun down. And I was just crying. And they ended up calling me. And I didn't answer the first time. The second time I did. And they're like, hey, where you at? And I was outside. But I was like, I'm in the living room. They're like, okay, unload the weapon, put it down, and come outside. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want to go to jail. And they were like, you haven't done anything yet. Come talk to us. Put the gun down. Come talk to us. So I did. I unloaded the weapon, went outside. And like, it was such a surreal, it was such a surreal moment. And there's always cops there. And this cop like comes over and they put my hands behind my back slowly, very gently. And they put me in handcuffs. And he was like, and they look inside and they see I've got all these like military stuff hanging up, like my old war and stuff like that. And he was like, did you serve? And I was like, yes, sir. And I'm sitting there crying. I was like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you get seen by the VA? And I was like, no. And he was like, you need help, son. You need help. He's like, you took some stuff back. Like, we're going to get you some help.
Wow.
And, yeah, that was rock bottom for me.
Man, if there's a rock bottom, that is a rock bottom, bro.
Yeah.
Man, thank you for sharing that, man. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts, dude. First off, like, that is a crazy, I don't say crazy because that it kind of describes the situation. That's why I'm saying crazy, but crazy in the sense of unbelievable that something like that. But I'm sure it happens more often than not with ex-military and all that, PTSD, guys that have seen war, explosions, near-death experiences in violent situations. But we've been going for 2 hours. And I can't believe it's been 2 hours because it just went by like that. It feels like, to your point about not having a reference of time when your mind is in the moment.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to stop right there.
Okay.
Definitely got to come back and finish the rest of the story because what we've seen is it's the hero's journey that you've had.
Yeah.
Did everything right. Military service, served the country.
Made some mistakes. Kept making mistakes.
Made mistakes. Tried to fix things. Made more mistakes.
Yep.
Like you said, you let go of that rock.
Yep.
Slid all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
To the point where you've got a gun to your head.
Yeah.
Chambered. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a story of redemption. To wild success. Wild self-discovery, a turnaround story that is something worth a whole lot of value. I'm going to say you got to come back, finish that story for the audience.
Definitely.
I'll say this. I'm glad you didn't pull the trigger, brother.
I appreciate it. I am too.
Yeah, I'm glad. Moments like this would not happen had you done that, bro.
Absolutely.
But I want to bring you back. It's been 2 hours. We're at our allocated time on this episode. So come back. We'll finish the story in the next episode. Can't wait to bring it to you. You got to like, follow, share, comment, subscribe in order to get notified when that second follow-up episode comes. And I cannot wait to bring it to you fast enough. Usually I'd hold this until the end of the usually I'd wait till we finish the whole recording.
Yeah.
But as with all guests to the podcast, I want to give this to you. Coming to the merch store soon. But man, thank you for sharing this part of the story with us. Cannot wait to hear the rest of the story and finish on that high note. Talk about your business. Until that point, where can people find you on social or follow where you are right now?
Yeah, the best place to follow me is Instagram. It's Gregory A. Birch _. You can also follow my company. It's Delta_Financial, I believe. And then I'm on Facebook. I'm on Maxed Out Friends. You can follow me as a business profile. It's just Greg Birch. You can follow me on there.
Okay. And he does have his own podcast coming out soon. What is it going to be?
It's going to be the Difference podcast. You can find it in the Delta Financial channel on YouTube. The first announcement video is up, but videos will start going live next week.
Fantastic, bro. Come back, talk about the story of redemption, Delta Financial, of course, how all these lessons that you've learned in the tragedy, the self-discovery, facing your demons, have made you the person you are today and the wild success that you're having right now. Like, I cannot wait to get into that and getting an opportunity to share that with the audience, bro. Thanks for coming in.
Definitely.
We'll just have to get you back in here again, bro.
I know, right?
You know, but hey, you're Captain America, so you can do a lot of things, bro. Appreciate you having you here.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, man. That story is phenomenal. But I just can't wait to get to the upswing and the hero's journey back to where his life was supposed to go, man. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing.
My pleasure.
All right, man. Again, if you liked this episode, certainly follow in for part 2. But follow, like, comment, and share at End-to-End Podcast on all social media platforms. Full episodes on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Thanks for listening, and we will have Captain America, Captain Greg Birch, back on the podcast to finish his story to share with you all.
All right.